With only a few days to go in this year's Tour de France, there are still plenty of opportunities for those who dare to dream big. After 3 strategic days in the Alps, team tactics will be put on hold for one stage, as each rider must stare down the race of truth. Location, location, location. How about this spot for our Versus Perch today? Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Cadillac Pre-Race Show. Along with Bob Roll, I'm Craig Hummer. Yesterday was a celebratory day for the Schlecks, and while Alberto Contador might not have shown the most street smarts, he showed once again he's the strongest.
Alberto Contador, probably the best climber in this bike race. The last day in the Alps, the last climb in the Alps, Alberto Contador in the yellow jersey finally went on the attack. One problem with that tactically is that Andreas Kloden was in the front group with the 2 Schleck brothers, and he was dropped because of the attack put in by Alberto Contador. And Andy and Frank Schleck got a lot of morale by being able to bridge up to Contador and leaving Kloden behind, and it was a drag race all the way to the finish line.
There are plenty of highlights to choose from stage 17. We've tried to whittle it down to give you the essence. On the second to last climb, the Col de Rome, it's when the attacks really started. It would be Andy Schleck who would go first.
Andy Schleck lighting it up on the second to last climb. Only Contador able to respond to that acceleration. And then Kloden drags himself across, and Bradley Wiggins is trying to get there. Lance Armstrong caught out a little bit by that acceleration. Now here's Frank Schleck just waiting for the right moment to get up the road, and Lance Armstrong hoping that Bradley Wiggins would come around at that moment, and that's how Frank Schleck got back up to the 3 leaders.
Well, by the time they got to the Col de la Colombière, they would have isolated Alberto Contador. It would be the Schleck brothers putting in attack punch after punch.
Both of them relaying each other all the way up the slopes of the last climb, and finally back into the finishing village. That is Frank Schleck getting a great stage win. Contador on his wheel for second place on the stage.
Andy Schleck, because of the time gaps, would have a great day as well, moving up in the overall standings. So let's break this down for a few of the players. Alberto Contador, what he showed once again was great power, but not the most smarts. On his attack right here, he left his teammate in the lurch.
Physically, absolutely supreme. Maybe tactically, not the best move to make, because you can see Kloden is getting dropped, and Contador spends the rest of the climb looking back to see where his teammate is.
But for Lance Armstrong, once those accelerations would leave him behind, much like he did the day before, he would find the right time to accelerate and then leave everyone else in the lurch.
Here is the group that Lance was with on the last climb. That's Wiggins getting dropped. Vincenzo Nibali sees Lance Armstrong attack, can't really do that much about it on the climb, and Lance Armstrong really flying up the last kilometer of that climb.
Both Astana as well as the Saxo Bank squad, they knew it was possibly going to be a tough day for Bradley Wiggins. At times, he would cart Lance Armstrong up the mountain, but by the end of the day, it would be a rough one.
Well, Christian Vande Velde did everything in his power to help Bradley Wiggins get through this stage, but in the end, it wasn't quite enough for Bradley Wiggins not to lose time to the Contador group.
He would lose close to 3 minutes as we look at our Hampton Hotels overall standings after stage 17. Contador in yellow once again. This time, the man in second is Andy Schleck, his brother Frank in third.
Really padding his lead on the field after the stage, and Lance Armstrong sits in fourth now. He'll be looking at the podium at the time trial stage, and Andreas Kloden moves down to 5th.
6th through 10th, Wiggins has dropped to 6th, but today should be a great day for him as well as for American Christian Vande Velde, who's in 8th overall, 8 minutes back, but he should have a great result on today's stage.
Great time trialist, looking forward to doing something for himself. He worked hard throughout the day for Wiggins, but now he has a chance to do the individual time trial, which he excels at.
Carlos Sasser, the defending champ, there would be no back-to-back for him this year, and you take a look at some more Americans, Hincapie, Zabriskie, Pate, and Farah. So let's start to talk about stage number 18. It's the individual time trial. It is a very different animal, isn't it, for these cyclists?
Well, they've been in the mountains for many days, and that's one type of musculature, one type of pedaling action. The time trial, totally different. You're bent over the machine in aerodynamic tuck, almost like a downhill ski racer, and after so many miles climbing in the mountains, it's very difficult to make that transition, and it'll be a very versatile cyclist that can do good in the mountains and also do good on the individual time trial.
Well, speaking of versatility, if you're going to win a Grand Tour, you have to excel at all facets, and one man who's already shown that he is good at the time trial is Alberto Contador.
Contador had a great stage 1 time trial, a little bit surprising to see him lock horns with the specialist and come up with 2nd place on the stage. The only man to challenge Cancellara out of all of our overall contenders. So Contador, hey, he has become a very good time trialist.
You take a look at some of the guys we're calling the defenders. These are your top 3 right now, and this is how they did Bob in stage number 1.
18th place for Andy Schleck 1 minute behind Cancellara, and 67th place for Frank Schleck, 1 minute and 36 down. If you extrapolate that over 40 kilometers, you got serious problems staying on the podium if you're the two Schleck brothers.
A lot of guys, or eyes, I should say, on the guy from Austin, Texas, Lance Armstrong. In Monaco, his first time back on a time trial bike at the Tour de France in 4 years, and he did quite well in 10th.
He's won 9 individual time trials in his career in the Tour de France. He's looking to add 10 on today's stage. He might be the best man out of the mountains considering the time trial for today.
So these are the 3 that are chasing your front runners. We've already spoken about Lance, but Cloden very good as well, and a lot of people are picking Wiggins today.
Bradley Wiggins, one of the specialists at this discipline. It's surprising how he's climbed. He's always been a great time trialist. He was 3rd on stage 1. Cloden did a good ride also in 4th place. So these men will be trying to dislodge the two Schleck brothers in the overall standings. Contador probably a little bit far out of reach from anybody in this group. So Cloden the advantage, but the Schleck brothers, they are really going to struggle in today's stage.
This is the drama the organizers promised when they put this route together. Hey, look at this. The Don and Dean of cycling, they're never going to be confused with the ladies of the lake. They'll be going around in circles for hours arguing about who gets to steer the boat. Well, we'll throw them a line and have them back in the studio when we come back.
The 2009 Tour de France pre-race on Versus is presented by Cadillac.
Choosing a car is like trying on a dress. As soon as you slip into it, you know it's the one. But you still turn around to see the back, because let's face it, you want them to hate to see you go, but love to watch you leave.
Introducing the all-new Cadillac CTS Sport Wagon.
Miguel Angel Torres. Undefeated in 5 years. The best pound for pound in the world. Can undefeated Brian Bowles pose a threat? Ask his last 7 victims. Torres versus Bowles, live Sunday, August 9th, only on Versus.
An exciting day for the 4 jerseys. All 4 factored into the storyline of Stage 17, and they all retained their colors. Welcome back to our Cadillac pre-race show. Time to welcome in our tacticians of the individual time trial. That's Phil Liggett and Paul Sherwen. Now, guys, how'd you finally make it to shore?
Well, it was difficult because Paul wasn't pedaling fast enough.
No, I was pedaling. You weren't pedaling.
Well, that's why we're going in circles.
Right.
Okay, I understand this system now.
Who taught who the royal wave out there?
Well, we're blue blood. It's inbred.
It just comes naturally.
It does.
You know,
all right. Have you ever learned the royal wave?
No, we have the American wave.
You've
a little
got a
bit
different salute, don't you, that you use on the roads of France?
We don't wish to see that one, thank you.
More on that later. Well, guys, let's talk the individual time trial. Without giving away your picks, Phil, who does a race and a course like today suit?
Well, obviously, it's not the same as it was in Monaco because that was quite a hilly route, so it may not suit Alberto Contador. Obviously, the powerhouse Cancellara will love the course, but he no longer affects the destiny of the final yellow jersey. So we've got to look to a great battle. Somebody like Lance Armstrong, I think he'll go very well today. The Schlecks, who are not great time trial riders, well, they're going to have to find some very good performances, I guess.
The problem with the time trial at the end of the Tour de France is that you've got to get the motivation. It's completely different, especially if you look at the time trial specialists. They may well have tired themselves out over the mountain passes, but the guys looking at the podium in Paris, they have to get super motivated to get themselves a good performance, and that's why this is a really important day for the Schleck brothers.
Yeah.
How much physically, Bob, does it take a different toll when a time trial like this comes so late in the Tour?
Well, that's a good question, and all the riders will be a little bit different. But you look at yesterday's stage, 5 big passes. The day before that, 2 huge passes. This is a completely different discipline. You're cutting through the wind by yourself, mostly flat roads, and so hopefully you can get that motor going. And sometimes at the end of 2.5 weeks of racing, it's a crapshoot whether or not you do good, even if you're a good time trialist. So it should be a very exciting stage.
We have beautiful scenery behind us, as you can see, Lake Annecy. But Paul, take us through the map, because those guys aren't going to be looking at the water.
They won't be looking at the water. They'll be looking at the white line right down the middle of the road, because this is a very fast individual time trial. We're there right in the heart of Annecy. We go right around Lake Annecy, which, as you can see there, is going to make a magnificent backdrop for the individual time trial this afternoon. There is, however, just a little bit of a test at 3/4 of the way into the course. If we have a look at it there, the climb up to the Côte de Bluffy could really catch 1 or 2 riders out, especially as it's in the last quarter of the time trial.
Yes, I really think we're going to be up for a great time trial this year, because it's not the penultimate day of the Tour. We've still got Mont Ventoux to come. There's some information for you. 40.5 kilometres, 25 laps around Yankee Stadium, 3rd visit to Annecy, and the official time checks along the way. That's where we'll get the real up times. We'll know who is doing what, and so will the riders too.
Hey, with that one climb today, Paul, how do you think that compares to what we saw all the way back in Monaco, the climb in stage 1?
That's completely different, actually, because it comes towards the end of the race, and also that was a shorter, violent effort in Monaco, over just 15 kilometers. But you will have to keep something in the gas tank if you want to make sure that you don't lose time in the final quarter of the race.
Everyone's got an idea of how this day is going to go, so it's time for our Cadillac performance predictions. But first, we're going to show you the scoring. There were some point getters yesterday, Paul, Sherwen, and myself, so we've closed that gap on Bob Roll, Phil Liggett. Boy, oh boy, did he come close. And I understand many protest guys filed with the Versus officials last night because of this finish, Paul. I don't know. I think my guy should have been in front of your guy.
No, I think Alberto Contador had a very good chance of winning. But watch this dramatic sprint for 4th place there. And
who missed out on that point? Bubka. We're so sorry. And wait, Phil's man coming in at the very end. Andreas Kloden. I was just going to say, let me guess, you were robbed.
Well, I think you guys have gone to Contador, and he's on your team now, because that man's attack ruined my man winning.
Well, you know actually what happened? Remember during the stage when Alberto went to Contador on the world climb and they said something?
Yeah.
I think they said, Phil's picked you.
I thought you could be right. I think I did lip read that, yes.
The world may never know, though. Well, it's time for our jersey presentation. Once again, the Cadillac yellow jersey goes to Bob Roll, who seems to have a stranglehold on this jersey at the moment.
It's looking very tenuous, like a snow leopard on a vanishing glacier. I'm hanging on by the skin of my teeth. Be real.
Wow.
I haven't got any points in days. It's
nice
terrible.
Wildlife analogy there. I like that. First pick today. You always seem to have first pick on the good days, Mr. Sherwen.
I'm sorry, but I think I'll try and change that for next year, because I know my partner's getting very upset about it. But if you happen to pick first and you're picking on time trial day, why not go for Fabian Cancellara? He is the Olympic champion in this discipline. He, I think, didn't try all that hard yesterday. He will have kept something in the gas tank to go out. He was phenomenal in Monaco. We're a long way down the road, 2.5 weeks of racing under his belt, but I still think that on a course like this, Cancellara's got a great chance of showing us why he's so good against the clock.
We need to start counting up the days, because I got a sneak peek at your pick, and you're definitely towing the team line, which is good. Your man, when he watches the telecast when he gets home, he's going to be really happy with your picks.
Well, I have to pick Lance Armstrong once again. You know that he's going for a podium spot now, so I think he'll be highly motivated. 10th on the stage 1 time trial, maybe starting a little bit early in the rotation, costs him a little bit. Plus, he's got 2.5 weeks of racing now in the legs, and he recovers like nobody else in the bike race. And so I think Lance Armstrong, trying to get ahead of the Schleck brothers on the overall standings, will do a good time trial and get me some points. And also, he's very proud, and this is the discipline that he enjoys the most. So he's going to go out and get a good fast time.
So the way this game works, is we alternate picks every day. Even though Phil says he has last pick every day, not the case. Today he's third.
Yeah, and look, tomorrow another difficult stage, and I'm first. Anyway, I would like to propose...
actually, you're second tomorrow.
Oh, am I? I would like to propose a new rule where when you're last, you get to pick every day until you move up the ladder, then the next guy at the end, he picks every day.
All in favor, say aye. There you go. Sorry, it does not pass.
Okay. Well, look, it's going to be a battle of the boys who want to make the podium in Paris. Bradley Wiggins lost time yesterday, and Lance Armstrong paid the faithful Astana teammate. But I think Bradley now will deliver a great blow. He was second in the last time trial in the Giro d'Italia. He is motivated, although a little bit disappointed by yesterday. And I really think he'll come out and deliver the goods. And I really hope he does, actually.
Guys, really, fourth pick.
Yes.
You left me.
Yes.
The obvious choice, Alberto Contador. Haven't you guys been watching the telecast? The guy wins his Spanish National Time Trial Championships in June. He spends 2 months prior to the Tour spending extra time on his time trial bike. We saw what he did in stage number 1. And talk about motivation. We all have been discussing these swirling, rumors going around Astana. I think this is his chance. He's out on his own today. He doesn't have to answer to anybody. So Contador, look for him to be on
I remain
the
in
top
last
step
position, I see.
of that podium. Well, with the time trial looming, it's time to say adios to the Alps for another year.
The 2009 Tour de France pre-race on Versus is presented by Cadillac.
Go climb a tree or discover things you've only read about. Maybe it's time to get the kids off the couch and on the water. Get the gear to get it done at Bass Pro Shops, like worldwide sportsman angler shirts for just $14.94. The Body Glove Method Life Vest for only $19.94. And take 33% off all remaining towables. Bass Pro Shops. Your adventure starts here.
Because we're taking a ride that can strain your relationships and hurt your pride. It's the credit roller coaster, and as you can see, it kind of bites. So sing the lyrics with me. When your deck goes up, your score goes down. When you pay a little off, it goes the other way round. It's just the same for everybody, every boy and girl. The credit roller coaster makes you want to hurl. So throw your hands in the air and wave them around like a wannabe frat boy trying to get down. And bring them right back to where your laptop's at. Log on to freecreditreport.com. Free credit score and report with enrollment and triple advantage.
Nanomolecular what? A force field that prevents sludge.
Tired of the claims? Get a guarantee. Only Valvoline guarantees your engine up to 300,000 miles. Get Valvoline. Get guaranteed.
Right now at Lowe's, get 10% off Energy Star products throughout the store. And you can even ask for an additional 10% off all your purchases or special financing for 12 months when you use your Lowe's consumer credit card. Lowe's, let's build some.
Hi, may I help you?
Yeah, I'm looking for car insurance that isn't going to break the bank.
You're in the right place. Only Progressive gives you the option to name your price. Here.
A price gun?
Mm-hmm.
So I tell you what I want to pay.
And we build you a policy to fit your budget.
That's cool. Feel so empowered.
Power to the people. The option to name your price. New and only from Progressive. Call or click.
Crank it up. The ultimate NASCAR pre-race party is only on Speed. NASCAR Race Day. Be there. You'll be in the middle of the action. Live with John Roberts, Jimmy Spencer, Kenny Wallace, and thousands of NASCAR's biggest fans. And get the inside track with live reports from Wendy Venturini.
Let's get to the stories at hand.
Don't miss NASCAR Race Day. Built by the Home Depot. All season long. NASCAR on Speed. Oh, yeah. Be there.
2 weeks of racing through the rugged Pyrenean mountains and the pristine alpine terrain, the Tour de France has unleashed its forces, separating the pretenders from the contenders. 2007 Tour champion Alberto Contador has emerged as team leader of Astana, passing every test with flying colours, and now sees only yellow as race leader. For now, the impressive duo of Frank and Andy Schleck hold the next 2 spots on the podium. But Lance Armstrong needs just 30 seconds to stand side by side with his teammate in Paris. And today's individual time trial is primed to favour the Texans' strengths. Today, the race of truth will narrow the field even more before the monster climb at Mont Ventoux on Saturday will finally decide the destiny of that coveted yellow jersey in Paris. It's the final time trial of this year's Tour de France, next on Versus. Today, the riders can gaze up at the mountains knowing they don't have to climb them. They're around the lake here in Annecy for an individual time trial over 25 miles. These are the purest waters in Europe. The lake is 10 miles in length, and the riders will see it for most of the day in the time trial. Yes, indeed, it's the race of truth the minute they depart from the start house here in the centre of Annecy. Hello everybody, welcome back to our coverage on Versus, the Tour de France, a crucial day today, the time trial. I'm Phil Liggett. This of course is Paul Sherwen. He hated time trials, by the way, but it's a perfect day here today. I think it's really a chance now because the teams can attack one another, and Lance Armstrong has a point to prove.
Well, he certainly does, Phil, and let's not forget he was a great individual time trialist, but I think the important thing to retain about the individual time trial today, Phil, is who has recovered the best. In the final time trial of the Tour de France between 1999 and 2005, just take a look at that for a record. Only beaten once in his worst year in 2003, and on that occasion he finished third, looking for a mere 14 seconds. So Lance will be back, I think, today and looking for something special.
Well, you know, although the gaps have opened to minutes, it could well come back to a matter of seconds. The yellow jersey yesterday, Alberto Contador, got rid of his own teammate Andreas Kloden in the closing minutes of the Col de la Colombière, and he has now got two big riders to worry about, Andy and Frank Schleck. These are the start times of the big names. Cadel Evans at 9:22 a.m. This is Eastern time all of the way. The big names go at the end, of course. Andy Schleck at 10:47, Alberto Contador at 10:47. Andy Schleck 3 minutes before him, Frank 6 minutes before Contador. Armstrong will go fourth from the end. He's bringing out his top time trial bike today. He's riding this race to win, believe me. And with 158 riders in the Tour de France, we can now have a look at our Nature Valley stage reset because a lot of riders already underway. Fabian Cancellara here, 1 hour 40 minutes behind overall, so an early start for him today, and not surprisingly, Paul, he's turned in a great time trial.
Yes, he did. He wasn't the fastest at all the time checks, but currently he is the fastest rider at the finish line.
David Miller has put up a challenge for Garmin Slipstream as he left the start house this morning quite a long time after Cancellara. Good effort by David Miller, but when he came to the finish house rather, he sits now in third place overall. Now Dave Zabriskie, he's made his start. He hasn't finished yet, but he made a shaky start, I have to say. A little bit of a problem with his gears. He came down the ramp. That's cost him. But I can tell you right now, out on course, he's riding very strongly. He's caught his 2-minute man here, Igor Anton. And a bit further up the road, he's caught his 4-minute man too, Thomas Voigtli. He's not home yet, so we're expecting a good performance off Dave Zabriskie. Well, that's our Nature Valley stage reset, and now we go to live picture. It's a beautiful day, Paul, and the lake is glimmering here, and we're going right around it. These are the pictures coming to you in high definition. Don't forget, this is the Chateau Vieux. It's a beautiful chateau on a peninsula built in the 11th century and modernized by the Baron Ruffy in the 19th century. It's in perfect condition. It is going to be a glorious day, 85 degrees Fahrenheit, sunny and light winds, which will be annoying to the riders at times. This is the situation at the moment. Cancellara has come home with 48 minutes 33. Ignatiev, who led for a long way, is at 11. Miller is third, Steph Lemon fourth, Bert Grabs. Let's go down to Robbie Ventura now as he talks with Fabian Cancellara.
What did you think of the course out there? Was that hill a bigger challenge than you expected?
Well, for sure it's a quite hard hill, but I think on the end, the whole parkour is hard. I mean, it looks flat, but sometimes the flat is much harder than maybe the hill. And I think I've started quite fast, and then I saw that I'm some 20 seconds behind Ignatieff. And then I said, okay, stay calm, because when you go from the first intermediate close to the climb, there's a lot of wind, and that's quite a hard part. And then I think I did a good climb, and then put the hammer down on the end as max as I could. I mean, I have to take their advantage where I am fast, but I think on the end I did a great ride.
Would you tell anything to Andy and Frank Schleck to help them have a better race today?
Well, I already talked this morning with them when we watched, when we did the ride on the parkour, to find the good road, where the road is rolling, where the wind is maybe better, or which side you have to ride. But then on the end, it's a battle between the riders and the time, and I'm looking positive forward of those two, because yesterday was a quite hard stage, and a lot of good time trial riders in the front in classement. They had to sacrifice maybe more than then, because today, how we know in the Tour de France after 3 weeks, the time trial is something special. It's not only because the good ones winning, because it's the day that counts and other things on the end. But I think they will doing good.
Thanks, Fabian.
Thanks very much, Fabian. Well, we'll go into live pictures here. Zabriskie has just caught Voigtler, but he's only not going ahead of him at the moment, Paul.
Well, I tell you, this is a very hard climb, a lot harder than all of the riders thought. In fact, it's a little col, if you want anything. There you can see number 59 is Dave Zabriskie, wearing a different jersey to normal. He is, of course, the American national time trial champion. 1:41 behind him is the man who started 4 minutes ahead of him, Thomas Voigtler.
Now, it's got considerably warmer since Cancellara finished. The sun is full on right now. And Cancellara started slowly, lying in second place to Mikhail Ignatieff for the first 3 checks, slipped ahead at the 4th, and has come in with the best time so far. Of course, all the big riders are still warming up out of our cameras. They'll be coming shortly as the day goes on. We'll take our first break. See you all in just a moment.
Kelly Saunders Nature Valley. The place that inspires her to go faster and slower. Elk Mountains, Colorado. Where's yours? 100% natural Nature Valley granola bars. The taste nature intended.
Lollipop, lollipop, oh lolly, 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 lollipop. Boom, boom, boom.
Attention! Select Dell Minis come standard with Verizon Wireless Mobile Broadband built in, so you can surf the web, check email, chat, and download on the go. All on America's largest and most reliable 3G network.
I call her lollipop.
Treat yourself to the 10-inch Mini with your choice of 6 colors, starting at just $3.99. Dell, yours is here.
The relationship you have with your car isn't so different from your other relationships. Some burn hot and fast, but don't last very long. Some burn for a while, but don't throw much heat. And some smolder beautifully for a long time.
The award-winning Cadillac CTS sedan. And coming soon, the all-new CTS Sport Wagon.
Get in people's faces. I've been doing this for 18 years. I deserve the respect just like anybody else. Am I mad a lot? Yeah, but I'm mad because every second of my life is put into how to be faster and how to win. This isn't miniature golf. We're out there with 1,500 pounds of metal around us, strapped onto it like a missile. Some girls went to prom. I went to the racetrack.
Every race is a battle, measured in fractions of a second, fought with a philosophy we call system integration, an approach to engineering where every motion of every rider, of every Super 6, is channeled into forward motion to maximize performance. Let the battle begin.
These days, it seems like prices just keep getting higher. But Vonage Home Phone Service has always cost just $24.99 a month for unlimited local and long distance, saving you up to $300 a year. Call 1-877-4VONAGE right now and start saving money immediately because we're waiving all setup and equipment fees. Plus, you'll get 25 great features like unlimited international calling to 5 countries in Europe, anonymous call block, and voicemail that's delivered to your home phone, cell phone, even your email. And with no setup, equipment, or shipping fees, plus a 30-day money-back guarantee, there's never been a better time to switch to Vonage. So go to Vonage.com or call 1-877-4VONAGE now to hear just how good saving money can sound.
The 2009 Tour de France on Versus is brought to you by Travelers Insurance in Sync.
Last year, coming from 07 of Team CSC and then switching to Slipstream, things were going pretty good until a certain point in the season. We had just won the team time trial in the Giro, and things were going the way I wanted them to go. And then, unfortunately, I broke my back that second stage.
Oh, I've been a crash. Oh! And it looks like Zabriskie who's gone down.
It was a pretty severe fracture of the L1, 50%, a centimeter shorter. It took a big chunk out of my season. It was difficult to be at home while the tour was going on. That's the biggest race in the world, and it's something that you want to take part in as many times as you can during your career, especially to see how the team was doing, and I wanted to be there and help out. I was able to come back near the end of the season and get a medal at Worlds and win Nationals.
Dave Zabriskie delivers his 3rd national championship in a row.
The highlight of 2008 would be the birth of my son. Yeah, the birth of my son has changed a lot of things for me. I always kind of thought I'd be done with this sport at 30. I definitely wanted to, but now 30's here and it doesn't seem like such a big deal, and I kind of want to make the most out of these last couple of years. I can see the end now. It's kind of an interesting feeling.
Well, that's our Star Motorcycles athlete profile, Dave Zabriskie there. Yes, he's 30 years of age now, but he's going better than ever, I think. He's a tall boy, typical of a time trialist, 4 times the US time trial champion and stage 1 time trial winner in the 2005 Tour de France. That was a great day, and we were all there for that. He's won the Maillot Jaune as well in the Tour de France. Lovely crowds here. It really does feel like a huge fete here in Annecy today. The riders going in a big circle around the lake. It is beautiful weather conditions. They are talking of thunderstorms late on in the day. We hope they mean by that after 6 o'clock local time, because then we'll all be done and dusted with the time trial.
Well, that's the important thing to remember about a time trial, because the weather conditions through the period of around about 5 hours can change dramatically.
Well, as we're watching Tony Martin, time to remind you about our Cadillac Ride of Your Life sweepstakes. Versus.com/Ride of the Life is where you go. Chance to join us on the Tour de France for 2 of you next year. A Cervelo S2 bicycle, or you can win a yellow jersey or a polka dot jersey, which we will sign for you. Today's code word is time clock. Time clock. Well, there's not a lot now for Tony Martin in this Tour de France. He's had his terrific moments. Now it's time to ride to Paris and strengthen up for the years that lie ahead of him. But it's been a great tour for him for sure. Well, as we look across Lake Annecy here, it's actually just on 10 miles long, that lake, and the riders go right around its perimeter today and duck inland a little bit as they climb the Côte de Bluffy, which is the one little hill on it. Once round, of course, the best time back there is still Fabien Cancellara. He took 48 minutes and 33 seconds, and nobody tickling that at the checks yet. So as we look down on battling Tony Martin with Cancellara in the finish in best time for the moment, we'll take our break.
Harmony, I felt like I was meeting somebody that I already kind of knew.
At eHarmony, our in-depth questionnaire lets us get to know the real you, so we can match you with other singles on far deeper levels than other dating sites. Review all your matches for free at eHarmony.com.
Tuesdays, host Anthony Anderson and an award-winning cast of sports journalists take you on a journey straight to the heart of golf in America. All new Tuesdays at 10 p.m. Eastern.
The Suzuki SX4 versus the Mini. The Suzuki SX4 has 25 more horsepower than the Mini. The SX4 offers available all-wheel drive. The Mini doesn't. The SX4 has America's #1 warranty and GPS Navi standard, and the SX4 costs thousands of dollars less. The Suzuki SX4. It's mightier than the Mini. Lightning bolt stickers and cape not included. Now get free gas for the summer and up to $2,000 customer cash on select SX4 models.
There's something big happening at Pizza Hut.
Whoa, nice. That's a lot of food.
Now get big meals like our stuffed pizza rolls, Pizza Mia, the Pizzone, and our personal Panormus pizza starting at just $5. The Big Eat Tiny Price menu, only at Pizza Hut.
The World Championships begin August 15th, part of Versus Red, White, Black, and Blue Summer.
The poker show that started it all is back. It's the 2009 season of the World Poker Tour. See all new episodes every week as the world's best players and top amateurs
Who is this kid, Vince?
travel from city to city to be crowned WPT champion.
The Riviera Casino is where you'll find the best slot value in Blackhawk. Now offering 24-hour gaming with new $100 betting limits. Win at the Riv.
Through the years, many things pass from father to son, like Aqua Velva Aftershave. Smells great, cools, firms, and tones. Cool. Aqua Velva, men get it. Wake up your whiskers with Electric Shave. Electric Shave! Stands up whiskers for an up to 52% closer shave.
Man, that was close.
Electric Shave. Blade close, electric smooth.
Well, we were briefly there with Dave Zabriskie. He's not far from the finish now, but we swung down to see the start of Franco Pelazzotti, the Liquigas rider. When he didn't do well in the Alps, he turned his attention to the king of the mountains. This competition is his now, even with the weekend still to come. So he had a great final day in the Alps, but he had a great 3 days in the Alps, let's face it. So Franco Pelazzotti, no pressure on him today in the King of the Mountains. The Côte de Bluffy is a third category climb, which is worth about 4 points, so he's not interested in that. He leads far too much in the competition. Must be nice to leave the start house with no pressure, and that won't be the case back at the last half a dozen riders to go from Wiggins to Contador. The pressure's on those boys to really turn in fast times today. Lovely crowd here on the circular route around Annecy, enjoying a beautiful summer's day. He's up through the gears now, settles in quickly, no pressure on him, Paul. He's just going to ride round as King of the Mountain, show off his best jersey.
Yes, I think this man, he was very sensible once he'd seen Phil that he wasn't going to win the third place finish in the Tour, that he actually moved away and changed his ambitions. For Zabriskie, fourth at the fourth time check, he's actually faded over the last part of this course. He's inside of 1,000 meters to go. A very rapid rider. Johan Brunel often said about Dave Zabriskie that he has the most naturally aerodynamic position in the whole of professional peloton.
Well, he got ahead of David Miller at one stage, but the last time check showed him to a slip behind Miller, who is in the finish. Miller is in third place. And let's see if Zabriskie can improve on that last sprint down to the line. He's still giving it everything here because he's on the same team as Miller, and this is a good team ride. With the Norwegian flags in the backdrop, it is David Zabriskie coming up now. And he's challenging the time, but he's just going to be behind, I think. 49.13 is the time at the moment. So he's gone behind David Miller now, who finished with 49.11. He now wants to beat the time of 50.07 to slot in fourth place, and he should do that as he drives up, looking exactly like Miller did when he arrived, briefly putting his head down, sprinting to the line. So there he is. He is in fourth place.
Yeah, but you might have noticed the average speed there, 49 kilometers an hour for Dave Zabriskie, 50 kilometers an hour for Fabian Cancellara. Gives you an idea that that is a very respectable time. Kim Kirken, the national champion of the individual time trial for Luxembourg, now he's facing up to this 40.5 kilometer test.
So in the start house then, the champion of Luxembourg here, Kim Kirken, he's making his start. The big names, of course, are still to go. The situation at the finish at the moment is Fabian Cancellara sits in first place, the Olympic champion. Ignatieff is second, and David Miller of Britain sits third. So we're looking out along that beautiful lake here. Now don't forget, Bicycle Magazine stages you can't miss on Versus. Well, of course, the big one to come before Paris is on Saturday. 7 a.m. Eastern Time is our coverage start time. Montélimar to Mont Ventoux, to the Giant of Provence. It'll be a terrific battle up there, and it still very well might decide the final winner of the Tour de France. He who goes best on Mont Ventoux could claim that final maillot jaune the next day in Paris. So that really is one you must not miss, and visiting bicycle.com for more information. There's the standings. We'll see you in a moment.
Okay, at The General, it's really easy to buy auto insurance online. Just log on to thegeneral.com for an instant quote. You'll get a great low rate, a low monthly payment, and a down payment as low as $59. Don't get caught driving uninsured or paying for more insurance than you need. So, log on to thegeneral.com right now. Too big?
Just a little. For the best car insurance rates online, go to The General and save some time.
FreeCreditReport.com. Tell your friends, tell your dad, tell your mom. Never mind, they've been singing our songs since we first showed up with our pirate hats on. If you're not into fake sword fights, pointy slippers and green wool tights, take a tip from a knight who knows. FreeCreditReport.com.
Offer applies with enrollment and triple advantage.
FearNet uncovers the dark side of Comic-Con. For the latest movies, shows, and stars.
Is it cool or what?
Go to FearNet.com starting July 23rd and get your con on.
First, I was afraid. I was petrified.
Kept thinking that each meeting meant
that I would have to fly.
But then I spent so many nights
reading emails way too long.
Then I grew strong.
Network video came along, and so I'm back.
No time to waste. Just click the mouse and get things done.
See people face to face.
I should have changed things long ago.
This technology saved the day.
More collaboration, less complication. That's the human network effect. Learn more at cisco.com/newways.
7 races left, and they're all on Versus. From the ovals to the streets, day and night. From Florida to Japan, the fastest drivers on the planet are on the final laps to the championship when IndyCar returns to Versus. Sunday at 5.
Tonight, go catch more than a movie. Or make plans to chart the uncharted. Go tackle nature. Just be ready for it to tackle back. Save on the gear to get it done at Bass Pro Shops, like Redhead canvas utility shorts for only $12.94 and Thermacell mosquito repellent for just $14.94. Bass Pro Shops, your adventure starts here. Make plans now for the Bass Pro Shops Fall Hunting Classic.
Get 20% more cash for your broken, unwanted, or mismatched gold jewelry. Cash for Gold, the largest volume consumer gold buyer in the USA, is on an extended buying spree. Prices are still at all-time highs, and we still can't keep up with demand. So we've raised our goal $100 million and extended our deadline. Now we're out to buy $200 million in gold by the end of summer, September 30th. Send us any unwanted, broken, or mismatched gold jewelry right now. Call for a free prepaid envelope envelope, fill it with the items you want to sell, send it to our secure processing center, and get ready to count your cash. And to meet our new $200 million goal, we've increased our cash payout by 20%. Cash for Gold owns its own refinery. There's no middleman, just more cash for you. And now we're paying even 20% more cash. Call before the gold rush ends September 30th.
Call 1-800-953-7993 or visit cash4gold.com.
Welcome back, and this they call this part of the Annecy. The canal system is likened to the Venice of the Alps. This is our Trek aerial view here, and what a beautiful place it is today to be on a Thursday afternoon here in France. Tony Martin out on course, still challenging well. He's still fourth as he's gone through the second check at the top of the climb, so he's going all right. So just to reiterate, Tony Martin's time, he's 20 seconds, only 2 seconds slower than Cancellara at the second check. I wonder if there is a surprise on the way there with Tony Martin.
Well, it's all, Phil, it really depends how he gets over this climb, because it's tough.
Well, this is Tony Martin as he rocks and rolls rather steadily up the climb. This is turning out to be quite a tough climb. There's the slope for you to see, but he is challenging Cancellara. His time was 2 seconds slower at the second check, so it'll be interesting now, but as Cancellara got quicker over the last check out on course, and of course at the finish he is still the best time. But Tony Martin, if he's measuring his effort as well, who knows, he might have a surprise on the way there.
Chris Sorensen, next rider to start in the starting house, one of the big workers for Team Saxo Bank, had done a lot of work over the Alpine stages to toughen up the race for the two big riders on their squad, the Schleck brothers, who currently lie in second and third place in the overall classification.
So Chris Anchor Sorensen, they call him the Anchor because he's a very strong rider on Team Saxo Bank. And we'll see him tomorrow and the next day as he tries to set up his mates, the Schleck brothers, into an early winning position. This race is not done for yet. In fact, Frank Schleck and Andy Schleck have both said we can now win the Tour de France. Wow, that means they've got to do a great ride today, Paul. So as he starts off now, it'll be a regular time trial for him. No pressure for him to make the go. He's the 125th rider to start of the 158th. Well, at the moment, David Miller still sits there in third place overall, so I think we can hear from David now talking to Robbie Ventura, our Cisco insider.
So, David, tell us a little bit about the course. Exactly where do you think the time is going to be made up and not? And is this course suit Bradley Wiggins well?
I mean, normally the old Bradley Wiggins, the fat Bradley, it wouldn't have done, because he'd have been able to go super fast in the flat bits, and he'd be like me, stopped a bit on the uphill. But the rider that he is now, my God, he's going to go like a rocket around there. I mean, no one can go as fast as him on the flat at the moment, and we've seen on the climbs, he's in the 5 best in the world. So good luck, the riders who are racing against him.
Thanks.
Wow, that's a confident David Miller there. He really is talking up his teammate and indeed his countryman, Bradley Wiggins. Wiggins needs to pull out a tremendous ride here, because he's not just got to beat everybody, he's got to get time as well, because I think he might lose a little bit of time on Mont Ventoux on Saturday when people like Contador, Claude and Armstrong get their own back. So as we continue to follow here, rather tiring, I think, Tony Martin. Let me remind you, while the Nike Chalkbot follows the road to the Tour de France, you follow the Nike Chalkbot at home. You can do it on Twitter or at wearyellow.com. Just log on and submit your own messages of courage and inspiration, and they'll be put onto the route to the Tour de France. Well, he looks as though he's really under pressure, Paul, but he's putting in a special effort here, Tony Martin, and that's good to see. That means he's coming out of the Tour de France a little bit stronger than I thought he was.
Well, we're looking here at him possibly rivaling the time of Fabian Cancellara. The computer telling us that he will come in about 5 seconds behind Cancellara. A chance here just to see the study of the aerodynamics. You might just have noticed the rear brakes there behind the seat tube to make this bike as aerodynamic as possible. A lot of riders also have got the front brake behind the front forks as well, as you can see there with Gustav Larsen. Now he is looking to challenge the time of Mikhail Ignatiev. Now he is a very good individual time trialist, silver medalist in Beijing last year.
Yes, and having ridden a very solid Tour de France for his Saxo Bank team as well. The time of Ignatiev at this second point, 37.25. It's a little bit before the clock stops. He was only in 4th place when he went through the first check, but he may have had a better session on the mountains here. I think it's wise to start a little bit slower and build it up. Cancellara has been the pointer to that. Now, it seems a long way up to the top of the climb. He's not going to get the time of Ignatiev as he comes out through the crowd line. He's now looking at Cancellara, who at this point was 18 seconds slower than Ignatiev. It's almost as if he's sprinting for the clock there. He's gone through. No, he hasn't gone through yet. The clock continues to count. He's going downhill here. Zabriskie goes through 3rd, just ahead of Dave Zabriskie at 14.14.
Looking for 14 seconds, about 3 seconds slower than his teammate at that point, Fabian Cancellara. This is the man that everybody wants to know how well he is going to ride in the last few days of the Tour de France. Cadel Evans, very disappointed, Phil, with his ride through the Alps.
Very much so. He stopped talking to everybody at the moment. Cadel, I think he's feeling a little bit depressed with the way it's gone. But he's got a point to prove today. And if Cadel has psyched himself up overnight, he certainly has the ability to upset at least the stage result today if he's no longer in a position to upset the overall result. So Evans is underway. I've just got this feeling about Cadel today that he'll want to prove a point because he's so far behind. He lost 28 minutes yesterday. He was on and off the back of the peloton until finally he dropped off for the day. They say he's no longer speaking to his friends in the press or any of his teammates. He seems so fed up now with the whole way this Tour has gone. Well, there's always going to be a winner today, and there's going to be a yellow jersey tonight. Whether we've seen the winner of the day, I'm not so sure in Cancellara, but we'll certainly have a yellow jersey tonight. We'll see in a moment.
Performance now is all about knowledge. Knowing you're driving the #1 selling car in its class. Knowing you're driving what Car and Driver named a 10 best for an unmatched 18th year in a row. And knowing that right now, BMW is offering exceptional programs to help you do so. Performance Now is the 3 Series. Visit your local BMW center today for a test drive.
Let me assure you, there's nothing worse than a man who can't perform, if you know what I mean. The truth is, if you have ED or any other kind of performance issue, sooner or later, we'll all know about it. But don't worry, if you need a little extra confidence, there's all-natural Prolatus.
In randomized clinical trials, the long-lasting Prolatus was tested to give the confidence and ability to perform when the moment is right, all without any negative side effects.
So here's the bottom line. Whether you're 25 or 65, performance problems can affect anyone. And finally, there's all-natural Prolatus.
Prove your manhood today by trying Prolatus free for 7 days. You just pay the shipping. Try Prolatus today, just for the fun of it.
Hurry up, guys. Your woman is waiting.
Call 1-800-870-2843. That's 1-800-870-2843 to get your 7-day free trial of Prolatus today.
The latest Turtle Wax breakthrough in car polish is Clear, crystal clear Turtle Wax Ice, a clarified synthetic carnauba that performs like no other polish or wax. Ice leaves no white residue on trim or in seams.
I had no residue whatsoever. It was perfect.
Clear and deep, really brings out the shine.
Ice is so advanced, you can use it in the hot sun with outstanding results. Now, your choice is clear. Crystal Clear Ice from Turtle Wax, world leader through innovation.
Michelle has had leukemia since she was 2. The Coleman twins were born 24 weeks premature. Max had his first surgery when he was 3 days old. These kids are alive today, and it's a real miracle. When your child needs help, there's a Children's Miracle Network hospital nearby. Go to childrensmiraclenetwork.org to support our hospitals helping local kids.
Nicky Sorensen, and I ride for the Specialized SL3. It's a really, really good bike, that's for sure, and I feel really comfortable on it. I feel like I can get the maximal amount of power out on the road, and apart from that, it's also really, really good in corners, descending, rain, so it's an extremely good bike.
It's the moment of glory. Nicky Sorensen takes it. Happy moments in the Tour de France here as we now circumnavigate the Lake of Annecy. The riders covering 40.5 kilometres, virtually 25 miles. Chris Sorensen now is out on course. As they continue now, he's heading for the first check at 18 kilometres. The crowd's enormous here. We're pretty close in as we to the town centre of Annecy, but we go right out and circumnavigate. The Danish flags will be flying proudly there for Chris Anker Sorensen. Nice narrow road, but perfect for the time trial today.
No, it's a great testing course here. Very fast to begin with around the lake, with the riders initially during the first part of the day picking up a fairly strong tailwind. But looking out from the commentary position here, Phil, I can't see the flags moving very much. So the weather conditions may have changed for the latter part of the afternoon, and that tailwind may have disappeared.
I'm getting a little bit worried about the fact the wind seems to be dropping, and it is getting quite thunderous out there, and it could be very different for the last riders to go. They have prophesied thunderstorms, but we thought after the race had finished, but the weather is definitely changing.
Well, it was very warm in the early part of the day and extremely humid, and that could indicate the possibility of thunderstorms later on. But what a magnificent backdrop for the bike race here. This is one of the oldest professionals in the race, 38 years of age, Christophe Moreau. And I have to say, he finished 9th and 8th on the two big Alpine stages. And he's talking about riding again next year, Phil, for the team from Spain, Case d'Epine.
Well, I'll tell you what, Paul, this man has got better and better as the Tour has gone on. And he was once the winner of the Prologue Time Trial. We go back a little bit now. This is his 14th Tour de France. He won the Prologue Time Trial in 2001 in Dunkirk. Not too far from but right on the coast, not too far from Calais, which is the main port to London, along with Dunkirk. And he kept the yellow jersey there for a day or so, but Seb Francis Moreau, he's well retired. Christophe Moreau now, I think, is finding his legs here, and he's proved to new sponsors he's worth hanging on to for another season.
The winner a couple of years ago of the Dauphiné Libéré, a very talented athlete. At one stage, he actually had to abandon the Tour de France while he was lying in the top 10 overall, going on one of the stages up into the peaks of Andorra. He did. His best performance in the Tour de France has been 4th overall, but he is a very solid individual time trialist. He's gone out very fast. You get an idea here, Phil, of how fast the first 25 kilometres of this race are.
Well, his 14th Tour, like George Hincapie, put him up amongst the record holders here if he comes back next year. Well, as we watch here Christophe Moreau head out of town, let's remind ourselves where they all will start. These are Eastern timings, by the way. George Hincapie, who, by the way, has a problem with a collarbone. He crashed, and he won't go to the doctors in case they tell him it's broken and they'd pull him from the Tour. So he's in trouble, but he's still riding the Tour de France. He goes at 9:44, and then Bradley Wiggins goes at 10:32. Armstrong is 6 minutes after Wiggins, and the last man, of course, is the race leader, Alberto Contador, at 10:47. They're the big boys, and they're all shooting at Cancellara's best time so far. See you in a moment.
Kelly Saunders Nature Valley. The place that inspires her to go faster and slower. Elk Mountains, Colorado. Where's yours? 100% natural Nature Valley granola bars. The taste nature intended.
Geico's been saving people money on car insurance for over 70 years. And who doesn't want value for their dollar? Been true since the day I made my first dollar. Where is that dollar? I got it out to show you.
Was it rather old and wrinkly?
Yeah, you saw it?
Fancy a crisp?
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Ground control. We have a problem. Switching to lithium power.
I feel better already.
Energizer Ultimate Lithium, the world's longest-lasting AA battery and high-tech devices. Energizer, keep going.
Right now at Lowe's, get 10% off Energy Star products throughout the store. And you can even ask for an additional 10% off all your purchases or special financing for 12 months when you use your Lowe's consumer credit card. Lowe's, let's build something together.
7 races left, and they're all on Versus. From the ovals to the streets, day and night. From Florida to Japan, the fastest drivers on the planet are on the final laps to the championship when IndyCar returns to Versus. Sunday at 5.
Now it's easy to spot the good guys. When you use a business with the new Super Guarantee, you'll get the job done right, or we'll step in and help to make it right. Look for it on superpages.com. The Super Guarantee, making the good guys easy to find. Watchmen on Blu-ray. Come get me. Watchmen. Buy it on Blu-ray and DVD. And look for Watchmen, Tales of the Black Freighter. Available now.
Hybrid for everyone is here. The Insight, designed and priced for us all from Honda.
A race is where you're going to go really fast. You won't go any faster anywhere else.
Yeah, I think that's the beauty of the sport of cycling. It's more about fun, it's about lifestyle, commitment.
Cycling holds a really special place in my heart. It always will.
Well, welcome back just in time for a sprint here as Gustav Larsen, the Olympic silver medalist, hits the line. He's going to drop into 3rd place there. Remember, Cancellara is his teammate. He holds first, and he has gone in ahead of David Miller of Garmin Slipstream. That's about the only change we have to report at the moment around Lake Annecy here. Situation in the finishing house is Cancellara still on top with 48.33. Ignatiev at 48.45. Larsen, we've just seen him arrive exactly 30 seconds slower than Cancellara, but 8 seconds quicker than David Miller. So we're just looking down on the beautiful Chateau Vieux there as our cameras move along. Situation now, there it is, I've just given you that. David Miller is 4th, Dave Zabriskie, both teammates Miller and Zabriskie in 4th and in 5th place. And I think we can go back to Robbie Ventura now, who's going to give us on the finishing line a course report of what this course is all about. Robbie.
Today's time trial has 2 significant elements. The first 25 kilometers are flat and windy, suiting guys with big power and great aerodynamics. Look for Lance Armstrong to really put as much time into his rivals in this first 25K. Later on in the time trial, there's a significant climb, almost 5 kilometers long. Power to weight plays the biggest role. Look for Contador as well as Schleck to try to gain back some of the time they might have lost early on. Ultimately, a rider like Bradley Wiggins, who's a great time trialer and who has recently found his climbing legs here at the Tour de France, is going to be perfect for today's time trial here in Annecy.
Thanks very much, Robbie. Well, the weather is changing all the time, but this is the arrival now of Tony Martin heading up the home straight. Well, let's see if he's managed to hold on here, Paul. He's already slipped away from the leader's times. He got tired and more tired over the second half of this course, and he's running up against Dave Zabriskie. He's gone behind David Miller's time. So Tony Martin looking up all of the time. He just wants this to finish, I think. He started off very quickly, looking his old self, but then it's got harder and harder for him. Steph Clement is just been pipped by Tony Martin. So he's conceded exactly a minute on his GC. It'll be 1 minute and 1 second.
Yep, and that's to Fabian Cancellara, who went round this course in 48 minutes and 33 seconds. There's a problem. Looks like there's a problem here from Luis Leon Sanchez, and what he's saying there is he can't hear anything at all in the radio, but he is is a man who could create the surprise also this afternoon. Second in the Spanish Time Trial Championship to none other than Alberto Contador.
Well, there's trouble out on course as well, because Pelazzotti is being caught out on course by Kim Kirken as well, as we look here at Luis Leon Sanchez. And Sanchez, a long, tall man who's got another stage win in the Tour this year, so he's had 2 now. And one day he's going to come back here and have a real shot at the overall standings rather than looking for stage wins.
Yeah, I was quite amazed the other day, Phil, when I was just looking up at his record, and in fact he's still only 24 years of age, despite the fact he seems to have been around for a long time.
He's got some strong, powerful legs pumping away down there as he keeps glancing out to the lake, obscured to be past the Union flag of Great Britain. This boy is a Spanish time trial ace at the moment, and he's out on course, but we're getting down to the creme de la creme of this race. Once we get down to the 135th rider to start, and already underway is the 133rd rider, I think he's gone, like him or Zaveldia, then the time gaps open up to 3 minutes a throw to keep the top riders in the Tour de France with the weekend to come separate.
Well, a lot of the Spanish journalists are comparing him, Phil, to the style of Miguel Indurain. They say he has excellent time trialing ability, and the longer he remains as a professional, I think the more strength he will develop to ride a good time trial. Denny Menchov bandaged up. He's had a lot of bad luck in the Tour de France. He crashed dramatically in the Giro d'Italia in the final time trial, crashed in the team time trial in the Tour de France here, and crashed twice yesterday out on the open roads through the Alps. And here, not really putting in a great performance. This has not been a great Tour de France for him, Phil, and I'm not really surprised, because it's so difficult to be on form for the Giro d'Italia and the Tour de France at the same time.
But he's coming home to Paris. Face of Menchov, just almost as if he's nonchalant here, coming up to point number 2, and he's outside the 30 riders who've gone through with the best time, that's for sure. Spilak there, we saw him in action as we hit the mountains in Verbier. He was leading at the bottom of the climb. So the clock continues to count, and you see the names pass through here. He got knocked around yesterday 3 times. He was on the floor. His left knee was bleeding when he reached the finish, and he's bandaged up his right elbow as well. All right, well, second reminder of our Cadillac Ride of Your Life sweepstakes, versus.com/Ride of Your Life. Take part in the competition. You could be here with us on the 2010 Tour. Time Clock is your code word today. Now, I told you about George Hincapie with a suspected broken collarbone, but refuses to let the doctors have a look. There he is warming up now. He'll be going shortly, and he must be struggling with some pain there, but that's brave George for you. We'll see in a moment.
% more cash for your broken, unwanted, or mismatched gold jewelry. Cash for Gold, the largest volume consumer gold buyer in the USA, is on an extended buying spree. Prices are still at all-time highs, and we still can't keep up with demand. So we've raised our goal $100 million and extended our deadline. Now we're out to buy $200 million in gold by the end of summer, September 30th. Send us any unwanted, broken, or mismatched gold jewelry right now. Call for a free prepaid envelope. Fill it with the items you want to sell, send it to our secure processing center, and get ready to count your cash. And to meet our new $200 million goal, we've increased our cash payout by 20%. Cash for Gold owns its own refinery. There's no middleman, just more cash for you. And now we're paying even 20% more cash. Call before the gold rush ends September 30th.
Call 1-800-953-7993 or visit cash4gold.com.
Adaptive friction extinguishers? And hypertronic wear resistors? Seriously?
I use one that offers an engine guarantee.
Yeah.
Only Valvoline guarantees your engine up to 300,000 miles. Get Valvoline. Get guaranteed.
There's something big happening at Pizza Hut.
Whoa, nice. That's a lot of food.
Now get big meals like our stuffed pizza rolls, Pizza Mia, the Pizzone, and our personal Panormus pizza starting at just $5. The Big Eat Tiny Price menu, only at Pizza Hut.
There are moments in life when there are no limits, no boundaries, no walls. That the rules of gravity just don't apply. Because there is no statute of limitations on greatness.
Whatever your style, whatever your taste, you will find the perfect work of art at the Global Art Dealer's Starving Artist Sale this Sunday only. Thousands of hand-painted oils priced from $19 to $69. Giant 3-foot by 4-foot paintings, $99 or less. We bring you the finest oil paintings at the absolute lowest prices. Come visit Global Art Dealer's Starving Artist Sale in Westminster at the DoubleTree Hotel, in Denver at the 4 Points by Sheraton Hotel, and in Lakewood at the Holiday Inn Hotel. This Sunday only, 10 to 5.
Welcome to Empire, Colorado, the gateway to Rocky Mountain National Park, Winter Park, and Grand Lake. Empire is a small, friendly town steeped in history and nature. See the original Hard Rock Cafe. Experience unique shops, award-winning restaurants, and local artists. Or stay at the Peck House, the oldest operating hotel in the state. There's great hiking, biking, four-wheeling, and the extreme sport of mountain boarding. Empire, Colorado, in the heart of Clear Creek County. Nearby and near perfect.
These are the 6 Americans, and where they are, we lost Levi Leipheimer on stage 13 with a broken wrist, but Armstrong is in 4th place, looking 3:55. Van der Velde is 8th. Hincapie, suspected broken collarbone, but he's on the start house. We'll see him next to go. He's in 22nd place, 25:38. Zabrisky's home in the time trial as well, as is Danny Pate and Tyler Farrar. So that's where the Americans stand at the moment, and we're getting very close to the start time of George Hincapie as he sits and waits here. Bandaged up after his crash yesterday, a lot of riders falling, and it looks to me as though it might be his left. It is his left shoulder. Did you see how he got on his bike then? He can hardly move that left arm. George is a tough cookie in his 14th Tour de France. He does not want to give up when he can see Paris on the horizon. Back out on course with Nicky Sorensen here, Paul, as the farmers of the Region 74, which is where we are, say, we love the Tour.
Yep, this is the Haute-Savoie where we are, 73 and 74, and the next man to start should be Big George Hincapie, because Big George Hincapie, I have to say, Phil, he's a strong man, and he must be in an awful lot of pain, I would have to say, with that bruised or maybe suspected broken collarbone. Crashed like a lot of riders did on the rough descent down from down towards Salange.
I think it's his left side. The way he's got on his bike, he seems to be keeping the pressure off that left shoulder, but we'll see. Anyway, George has ridden 14 Tours de France. He's up amongst the highest number of participations, and slots in the top 4 or 5 as far as that goes in a race with a great history, of course.
Comes up alongside Yaroslav Ekimov with 14 participations as well this year. Only 2 riders have ridden more, Lucien Van Impe of Belgium and Joop Zoetemelk of Holland.
George Hincapie making his start then. The first left-hand bend as he leads Annecy. The start and the finish are very close, by the way. You can walk over to watch the start, go back to watch the finish. There's a huge crowd enjoying a free roam today around the lakes, and it really does, you do feel part of the Tour here in Annecy. This is Pasamontes, who's coming up to point 2, and it's not a bad ride from this guy, Bouchagine there. He's come through with the 8th fastest, so a former champion of Italy in the time trial. But Bert Grapsch, the world champion, clearly turned off today. He was only 10th fastest at this point now.
Well, another time check just coming through. Cadel Evans has just gone through the first time check, Phil, with the 16th fastest time, already 1 minute and 7 seconds down.
So the sad story continues with poor old Cadel Evans. His brain not agreeing with his legs right now. I think he'll be glad to see Paris and rethink of the rest of his season, as he now is heading up to checkpoint number 2, I think, Cadel Evans, but he's nowhere near the leaderboard.
Now, for Cadel, it's going to be very difficult. The team are going to try and have to rally around him and get his head back into racing, especially for the end of the season, because even if you have a bad Tour de France, there are still more races left in the year, and he could very easily look at a crack at the Vuelta a España in the month of September, and also very easily look at the possibility of a good ride in the World Championships.
And turn the season around. That's what we want to see him do. Sylvain Chavanel then, out on town. American flag on the right. Cheers all round. Chavanel, Hincapie is underway behind. Pierre Roland should be just about to start, and we're getting pictures now of Cadel Evans.
Well, yeah, his position looks good, Phil. 16th at the first time check, as I mentioned, 1:07. But, you know, when the lights go out in a race like the Tour de France, it's very difficult to get yourself back into the right frame of mind to hurt. And I think Cadel Evans may well just try and ride through this time trial this afternoon, because already he's lost more than 50 seconds to Fabian Cancellara.
Well, he has a lot of supporters here. There's an awful lot of Australians following the race this year. It's not been a great tour for the Aussies. We have to be honest with that. But they are very much a part of the Tour de France these last 10 or 15 years now. Well, back into the early 80s if we include Phil Anderson, and we certainly should. He rode the Tour de France 13 times and finished every one, wore the yellow jersey and won 2 stages.
And, of course, let's not forget he won the white jersey as the best young rider as well.
Indeed he did. Well, I don't know how they've managed to close off one of the most popular circuits around Lake Annecy, but it is the Tour de France, of course, and everybody loves it. This is Pierre Rolland, who's making his move. He's the 138th of 158 to go, so just 20 riders left to go. But because they are over 3 minutes, that gives us 1 hour of starters, and then about 45 minutes to the last man in.
Well, Pierre Rolland has been in the breakaway on a number of occasions.
He's not exactly rushing away, Paul.
Well, it's not important to go out very quickly over the first kilometre. If you go too quickly over the first kilometre, you can get yourself right up into oxygen debt, and then you never recover for the next 40 kilometres. And sometimes it's maybe better to lose a few seconds over the first kilometre to pick up the pace later on. Kim Kirken doesn't look to be enjoying the early slopes of this climb, though, does he?
No, I mean, Kim needs to produce a reasonable performance here, I think. But that's what life is like on the pure waters of Lake Annecy. These are the standings at the finish at the moment, and no change for a while now. Larson was actually quicker than Cancellara at the second check, and then he slipped behind him at the third, and obviously he's finished behind him as well. All shows you've got to dose your effort here and be very consistent to win a time trial. That was Gustav Larsson's finish. This was Miller. We'll take a break.
The inherent value of a Range Rover Sport easily handles the ups and downs of sand, mud, and the economy. Range Rover Sport, the luxury that's more than a luxury.
Holy mackerel, there has to be an easier way to wash your dog. There is, and it's called Uncle Norman's Pet Sponge. Just soak and squeeze to release shampoo, conditioner, and an odor inhibitor. Each sponge has the equivalent of 32 ounces of shampoo, conditioner, and odor inhibitor. Plus, Uncle Norman's Pet Sponge has 42 massage bumps. No buckets, no bottles, no towels. Just soak and squeeze to get your pet clean, conditioned, and smelling great. Big dog, little dog, medium dog. Just soak and squeeze to wash any dog. Throw away all that other stuff. Call now to order Uncle Norman's Pet Sponge and get Norman's incredible pet chamois free. You'll get it all, Uncle Norman's Pet Sponge and chamois, for just $9.95. Order right now and we'll double it. That's right, a $10 value, yours free. You'll get 2 of Norman's Pet Sponges and 2 chamois. That's a year's worth of washes, all for just $9.95. Call the number on your screen or send check or money order to the address below to get your Uncle Norman's Pet Sponge. Call right now and we'll send you 2 pet sponges and 2 chamois, all for just $9.95. Call right now.
Get my car insured. Just point and click, point and click, point and click, point and click.
When you need auto insurance right now, log on to thegeneral.com. You'll get an instant quote with no personal information required and a down payment as low as $59. You can also print your own proof of insurance form, all online in just a few minutes.
Piece of cake.
For the best car insurance rates in town, call 1-800-GENERAL now.
Going to bars and going to clubs, that really is a passive way of meeting people. eHarmony really is an active thing.
It's I'm ready, I want this. eHarmony is a tool in that choice.
eHarmony.com. Review all your matches for free.
FreeCreditReport.com. Tell your friends, tell your dad, tell your mom. Never mind them and singing our songs since we first showed up with our pirate hats on. If you're not into fake sword fights, pointy slippers and green wool tights, take a tip from a knight who knows. FreeCreditReport.com. Offer applies with enrollment and triple advantage.
So, Katie kicked off the conference call, but we missed the first half trying to download the docs.
It's turned out to be the old new docs rather than the new docs. And bobbed out in from home and his
dog starts barking. So Jen jumped in with her 2 cents. Which Katie missed because she was buying shoes online.
Then I hit mute to talk timelines with my team.
Getting lots of dirty looks through the phone in the process.
Overall, a great call. Great call.
Yeah.
Introducing a better way. Learn more at cisco.com/newways.
We're back with the Tour de France. It is getting darker here. It looks as though there is a storm brewing on the horizon coming off the Haute-Savoie. And if it comes for the late starters, it could put a different face on this time trial. This is Cadel Evans down there. He's dropping off the leaderboard quite quickly, though. He's on the Côte de Bluffy at the moment. This is his 5th Tour de France. His worst ever finish is 8th. I'm afraid it'll happen big time. This time, it'll be a long way down the overall rankings, losing 28 minutes yesterday. There's the Australians running alongside. Little shout for him. This is Peter Velits coming up to point number 2. Proving to be quite an all-rounder, Peter. So Velits pushes on for Team Milram. He's a Slovakian rider. Look at the face, Paul. He's really trying to finish this tour strongly, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a very talented rider, Phil, and a rider I think we'll see a lot of in the future, as is this man too, Bryce Felu. Got a fairly aero helmet there. We saw him win a very difficult stage, and the rain, Phil, has started to come down, and that's going to make it very difficult for the last starters.
Well, it's been getting darker and darker, and if the rain comes, it'll be very heavy for a moment. Hopefully it won't stay too long, but he puts a whole different aspect on Bryce Felu going down. I think his back wheel did slip a little there as he came off the ramp. He impressed us all. We'd never heard him. It's his first Tour de France. We know his brother Romain, who was a very good sprinter, wore the yellow jersey for a day in the Tour de France last year. But Bryce came here and he won on top of the first big mountain of this tour at Arcolis. And then we knew we had somebody special.
No, I think he's a rider we can follow over the next couple of years. He was 23 years of age. This rider, a little older and a little bit more experienced, Sylvain Chavanel, a very good individual time trialist. This year he didn't win the National Time Trial Championships, and that was a bit of a shock to him. He was beaten by almost a part-time rider, a man who does a lot of mountain bike racing, and nobody really knew the guy's name before he came to win the championships, and Sylvain Chavanel walked away somewhat disgusted.
Well, he is a good time trialist, though. It depends how hard you want to ride now. What have you got to race for if you're a long way behind from yellow? Why waste your energy unless you believe you can win the day? And that itself is creditable to the performer. But if you don't believe you can win the day, not a lot of point in doing all your effort today.
Well, Cadel Evans on the slopes of this climb, the Côte de Bluffy, going around the corner there, out of the saddle. He's got plenty of energy and plenty of movement in his machine there to keep himself up as high as possible at the top end of his performance. But a great crowd turned out here for this time trial. Amazing that they've closed down one of the most popular routes around the whole of this lake.
And it's a fairly long climb. The best time here is still Ignatiev. He sits in second at the finish with 37.25. The riding time of Cadel at the moment is just over 32, but I think he's still got a good 5 minutes or more to get up there. Look at these people.
Well, you might just notice all this 2018. Well, 2018, in fact, Annecy is the town that France is promoting to try and get the Olympic Winter Games, and obviously they've had a lot of flags given out there to try and promote that.
Well, they proved they can certainly close the roads, and they've certainly got the terrain round here for a magnificent game, that's for sure.
Well, Cadel taking the shortcut round there over the bumpy part of the road. You might just have noticed he bunny hopped over there. The reason is that these riders have extremely light tyres on in the individual time trial, and you don't want to hit anything, otherwise you could very easily blow out a front wheel.
That looks like a very determined face now of Cadel Evans. Perhaps he is warming to the occasion now, trying to prove a point.
Well, it's on this middle part of the course, Phil, that Cadel Evans has got a chance of quite possibly improving.
He went through in 13th place at the second time check, improving on his 16th place at the first time check. So he is picking it up, and this is the part of the course that will suit Cadel Evans, especially on this climb.
And looking at his face, he thinks that's exactly what he's going to do, Paul. So this third check, we hope we see him improve, probably inside the top 10. Well, we watch Cadel Evans trying to get the most out of this bike now. Got a good rhythm going on the climb here. There's some names of Andy Schleck and Frank Schleck are back at the start. This looks like Lance Armstrong warming up. Yes, it is. Chatting with Johan Brunel. He's got a good head of steam up there, so it's so crucial to warm up correctly for the time trial. Lance knows that better than anyone. He's only lost one crucial last day time trial in the Tour de France, and that was because he knew he'd already won the Tour. It came through in his radio, so he eased up in a torrential rainstorm, finally conceding 14 seconds to David Miller. So, as we don't see any change here of the top 5 at the moment, there are plenty of riders about to start who might change it. One would be Frank Schleck. We'll tell you more on Frank after the break.
Frank, he's obviously got the potential to be right up there for the podium.
Ryan getting ready to make his approach to the men's room.
Looks like he needs to go urgently.
True. And there's Casey about to drive, also to the men's room.
He has been going over and over.
They ought to see their doctors.
Could be male urinary symptoms due to BPH and enlarged prostate.
For many guys, prescription Flomax reduces their urinary symptoms due to BPH in 1 week.
And if their doctors do prescribe Flomax, they could get up to $40 off new or refill prescriptions.
So guys already on Flomax can also save. Only your doctor can tell if you have BPH, not a more serious condition like prostate cancer.
Avoid driving or hazardous tasks for 12 hours after your first dose or increase in dose, as a sudden drop in blood pressure may occur, rarely resulting in fainting.
If considering cataract surgery, tell your eye surgeon you've taken Flomax. Common side effects are runny nose, dizziness, and decrease in semen.
Ask your doctor if Flomax is right for you.
And call 877-4FLOMAX for more information and to see if you qualify for up to $40 off new or refill prescriptions.
For many men, Flomax can make a difference in 1 week.
The Suzuki SX4 versus the Mini. The Suzuki SX4 has 25 more horsepower than the Mini. The SX4 offers available all-wheel drive. The Mini doesn't. The SX4 has America's #1 warranty and GPS Navi standard, and the SX4 costs thousands of dollars less. The Suzuki SX4. It's mightier than the Mini. Lightning bolt stickers and cape not included. Now get free gas for the summer and up to 2,000 customer cash on select SX4 models.
The World Championships begin August 15th, part of Versus Red, White, Black, and Blue Summer.
At First Bank, we do not clone nor endorse the cloning of U.S. currency. Would be against international law and a breach of banking ethics. The $50 you receive upon opening a free checking account is real money and has not been duplicated in a covert genetics laboratory. So at your earliest convenience, go to First Bank or visit us online and get $50 that has never been cloned.
Through the years, many things pass from father to son, like Aqua Velva Aftershave. Smells great, cools, firms, and tones. Cool. Aqua Velva, men get it.
Wake up your whiskers with Electric Shave.
Electric Shave!
Stands up whiskers for an up to 52% closer shave.
Man, that was close.
Electric Shave. Blade close. Electric smooth.
Yes, the two most famous brothers in the world of cycling, Frank and Andy Schleck. They're still to start here from the second and third positions overall in the Tour de France. This is the situation at the moment. Frank Schleck's teammate Cancellara still leads. Ignatieff is still second. No change at all overall. So our Star Motorcycles athlete profile now will be on Frank Schleck, who says they still believe they can win the Tour de France.
Last year was a great Tour de France. I was very happy to wear that yellow jersey.
My opinion is Cadel should lose this yellow jersey and give it to Frank Schleck.
I think Carlos did an amazing tour. He deserved the win.
Carlos Sastre just won the Tour de France.
Celebration from all of Team CSC.
When Carlos is not anymore here, he won, he left the team. We have Frank and Andy for the GC, for the Tour. I mean, those brothers, they learned a lot.
It has always been a great team, and we will just continue it that way.
This team is the best team in the world.
Now, yeah, I'm the GC rider if I don't get in a fight with my brother.
Frank is a cool kid, and you can totally see that he had a absolutely normal upbringing, you know. They great friends also, not only brothers but great friends. It's a great story, you know, two brothers, both equally talented, both really successful.
We share a room together, we go training together. There's no rivalry between us.
The both of them are just laid back and cool. Frank's a nice guy.
We've pretty much got Frank and Andy as little spearhead for the GC, I guess, in the Tour. Frank, he's obviously got the potential to be right up there for the podium.
Yeah, this year's Tour, I mean, if you finish 5th in the Tour, it's I think you need to go further. At least I want to try to go even higher. And, I'm not going to say I'm going to finish on the podium, but you have dreams in your life and you have to do everything to reach those dreams. And the day when I'm stopped dreaming, then it's time to stop.
Yes, you'll never see two more devoted brothers in the sport. That's our Star Motorcycles profile athlete on Frank Schleck here. He's 6'1". He's a very tall man at 29. He said earlier today, along with his brother Andy, they can still win this Tour de France. Well, if that is the case, they've got to ride out of their shoes today. They're not the best time trialists in the world, but there is Frank. He's warming up. He starts at 10:41 Eastern Time, and we'll be following him all the way today on Versus. This man is as good as his word, and he very often delivers. And yesterday, of course, he won the stage, the last stage in the Alps. This is Pelazzotti coming home. He hasn't had a great ride. He has been passed out on course today. Not too worried. 58th for Franco Pelazzotti. Study in motion of the man in the polka dot jersey. He's done his job already. He's won that jersey, and he hasn't got to worry about what happens on Mont Ventoux. Peter Vellett's also coming up. You can see the roads are wet here in the finishing straight. The rain is steady but not torrential. Lights are on. It's very dark in the avenue of trees where the riders come up here.
Well, this is a good ride by a young rider, Peter Vellet. He's rivaling the top 20 times registered this afternoon, but there are some big names still to come, Phil. All of the big guys stacked up at the bottom end of the afternoon. And the important thing is for Frank and Andy Schleck is to come out and try and preserve as much time as possible, because they currently lie in 2nd and 3rd place overall, but the time trial is definitely not their playground.
So Peter Vellet finishes. His time is 50:43. 13th place for young Peter. Not too shabby at all. He can go and get dry now. He's just caught the edge of this rainstorm as the other riders continue to start. They haven't had a change in the top 5 for quite some considerable time now. As we look out across Lake Annecy, Cancellara still in the hot seat. Zabriskie completes the top 5. We'll take a break. The big names are getting closer.
Whether you're powering down the asphalt in a Cervelo S2 or a Cadillac CTS Sport Wagon, you're sure to get that rush. Now imagine the rush you could feel at the final stage of the Tour de France with the Cadillac Ride of Your Life sweepstakes. Just watch the Tour de France on Versus and look for the on-screen code. Then log on to versus.com/rideofyourlife to enter. You could win a Cervelo S2 and a VIP trip to Paris to watch the 2010 Tour. The Cadillac Ride of Your Life sweepstakes and watch the Tour de France right here on Versus.
Stop your auto repair bills now. If you own a car with less than 250,000 miles, you can get an extended warranty that will finally stop your repair bills. Just call now or go to stoprepairbills.com. When you own a car, SUV, or truck, sooner or later it will need repair, and that can cost you thousands of dollars right out of your pocket. Just one transmission job could cost over $3,000. A new engine could cost over $4,000, but you won't have to pay a cent. Call now or visit stoprepairbills.com and we'll cover 100% of the costs. This isn't a dealer's warranty. It's much better and costs less because you only pay for the coverage you need. You even choose the repair shop, and we pay them directly so you don't wait to be reimbursed. The sooner you call, the sooner you're covered.
Call 1-800-568-0063. A free 5-minute call can save you thousands in auto repair. Call 1-800-568-0063 and stop paying repair bills now.
The World Championships begin August 15th, part of Versus Red, White, Black, and Blue Summer.
You think the fans on the road to Paris are crazy? Try Jersey Joker on for size.
They're riding a bike!
It's Fanarchy on Versus, an uprising of real sports fans.
7 times you won. That's enough.
He's got nothing to prove.
From their webcams to your TV. Fanarchy on Versus.
Go climb a tree. Or discover things you've only read about. Maybe it's time to get the kids off the couch and on the water. Get the gear to get it done at Bass Pro Shops, like worldwide Sportsman Angler shirts for just $14.94, the Body Glove Method Life Vest for only $19.94, and take 33% off all remaining towables. Bass Pro Shops, your adventure starts here.
Now it's easy to spot the good guys. When you use a business with the new Super Guarantee, you'll get the job done right, or we'll step in and help to make it right. Look for it on superpages.com. The Super Guarantee, making the good guys easy to find.
Right now at Lowe's, get 10% off Energy Star products throughout the store. And you can even ask for an additional 10% off all your purchases or special financing for 12 months when you use your Lowe's consumer credit card. Lowe's, let's build something together.
Lollipop, lollipop, oh lolly, 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 lollipop. Boom, boom, boom.
Attention! Select Dell Minis come standard with Verizon Wireless Mobile Broadband built in, so you can surf the web, check email, chat, and download on the go. All on America's largest and most reliable 3G network.
I call her lollipop.
Treat yourself to the 10-inch Mini with your choice of 6 colors, starting at just $3.99. Dell, yours is here.
Let's remind ourselves as we get towards the tail of the field, all the top riders, these are Eastern start times. Eastern time, Sastre goes at 10:11, Wiggins goes at 10:32, Van der Velde 10:26, Armstrong goes at 10:38. The last man closing it down, the yellow jersey of Contador at 10:47. The battle of the race of truth between that group of riders could be quite something today. So let's have a look then how Carlos Sastre is going to get on. Let's at least check his bike out.
Of Cervelo, and in front of us we have Carlos Sastre's P4 time trial bike for this year's Tour de France. Tell us a little bit why this bike is quote-unquote the fastest bike in the world, and what changes we have on this bike than Carlos's bike from last year in the time trial.
Yeah, I don't need the quotation marks. What we do is we only focus on making the fastest bikes in the world. We don't make mountain bikes, we don't make tricycles. So we spent an enormous amount of time in the wind tunnel in the last 3 years to develop the P4. And you can see the whole little details, the way the shape from the fork runs into the frame. The way, as you can see here, we don't have the brake here anymore. We also haven't hung it underneath the bottom bracket, but instead what we've done, we've completely integrated it into shape. So nothing sticks out, nothing can catch air. Only the brake pads, obviously, they still stick out, otherwise you can't brake. And maybe the biggest improvement we've made is in the water bottle. You know, traditionally you'd have a really nice aero tube, and then you stick a big water bottle on the back of it. And of course, that's not very aerodynamic. So what we've done is here, we've changed the shape of the frame and the water bottle to completely integrate together. So for the airflow, it just looks as one shape. Nothing sticks out. Very aerodynamic. Of course, you can take it out to drink from.
Is this bike custom for the Tour de France, or can someone go out and buy this bike?
No, this bike has been in stores since March. And in fact, it was in stores before we gave it to the team, because that's always an important part for us, that whatever we make for the team, we also want it to be available to the public. That's our mission.
And the bottom line is, for the riders, this bike is fast. According to Cervelo, 40 seconds faster per hour over last year's bike.
Wow, that is a lot of time in 1 hour, and we can go straight into the start house and see the countdown now for Carlos Sastre. He's underway. We'll see how that bike deals with him today as the P4 takes off. Well, as we see Carlos Sastre depart, we chatted with Levi Leipheimer yesterday. Remember, he's out of the tour with a broken wrist, back home in California. Levi, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me back, Phil.
It's always lovely to speak to you, Levi, and you can explain to me about yesterday. What was Commentators up to there, destroying his own teammate on the Col de Colombier?
Yeah, it was, I got to tell you, it was a little frustrating to watch because I was really rooting for Andreas to win the stage. You know, 5 years ago, he got pipped on the line by Lance. Of course, they weren't on the same team then.
Yeah.
So I was really hoping that, you know, Andreas could share in the success. You know, Alberto's going to win the Tour, and he won a stage, and they were in the perfect situation. So it was, yeah, definitely a little frustrating to watch. I think Alberto's intentions were definitely good. He was trying to animate the race and bring the team another victory, but in the end, it only isolated him. So, you know.
Up until that time, Levi, there was a real possibility that Astana could go to Paris with the top three of the podium, wasn't there? I think he may have destroyed that chance, innocently or not.
Yeah, that's definitely possible. And, you know, we kind of always had that in the back of our mind because we had 4 guys who could not only win the Tour but finish on the podium. And when you have 4 guys who could do that, then there's a chance you could actually sweep the podium. And, you know, the victory is the most important, and that's what we always look after. But if the chance is there to put more riders on the podium, you definitely got to take it.
Now, we'll talk about the time trial very briefly. What will Lance do today? What do you think? Is he going to be angry? Is he going to want to win it? What's he going to do?
Boy, I tell you, I'm really looking forward to it. I think he's going to do very well. I don't know if I can pick the winner, though. I think it's going to be between Alberto, Lance, Andreas, and Wiggins.
Yeah, yeah. Now, tell me, you're in October this year, you're doing what we call a European-style Gran Fondo. That's a great bike ride. I believe you're doing it in Santa Rosa, where you live, and it's about 103 miles. You're taking in some of the Tour de California climbs, aren't you?
That's exactly right, Phil. Yeah, I had the idea in the springtime that here in Sonoma County we have beautiful roads, and Tour of California has come on these roads, and just what a great opportunity to show everyone my training routes and the race course from the Tour of California. October 3rd, Gran Fondo, which is modeled after the European Gran Fondos that attract 5,000 to 10,000 people at a time, and I think it's going to be a great event. The proceeds go to a local therapy farm for at-risk kids and for the Tour of California to come back to our great city of Santa Rosa.
Well, you've won that race the last 3 years, if memory serves me right, Levi, so we want to see you in that race again next year. Levi, we're going to hold you to your word now. We're going to watch Lance Armstrong whip the field. Is that right?
I think he's going to do quite well.
Okay.
I don't know if I would go out and say he's going to win. Yeah, that's going to be a close battle. We'll have to wait and see.
I agree. We're going to be treated to a fabulous time trial in the Tour de France. Thanks very much, Levi.
Yeah, thanks for having me again.
Now, we've probably just seen that there is Lance Armstrong warming up at the moment with Andreas Kloden. He looks pretty recovered from his ride yesterday. We saw Cadel Evans finish. He got the 8th best time as he crossed the line, but overall, there is no change yet. So we'll take a break. Rejoin us very shortly.
Kelly Saunders Nature Valley. The place that inspires her to go faster and slower. Elk Mountains, Colorado. Where's yours? 100% natural Nature Valley granola bars that taste nature intended.
Watchmen, the director's cut on Blu-ray.
Evil must be punished.
With 24 minutes of new footage, it's The Watchmen you didn't see in theaters, including a unique walk behind the scenes with the director while the movie plays.
Come to get me.
By the director's cut on Blu-ray.
Just another perfect day. I think I'll walk this way where the trees do sing. I'm feeling part of everything. And all my troubles seem to fade away. Skies look brighter.
The hybrid for everyone is here. The Insight, designed and priced for us all from Honda.
Nanomolecular what? A force field that prevents sludge.
Tired of the claims? Get a guarantee. Only Valvoline guarantees your engine up to 300,000 miles. Get Valvoline. Get guaranteed.
At the World Championships, it's not about wrapping yourself in newfound glory. It's about wrapping yourself in old glory.
Through the years, many things pass from father to son, like Aqua Velva Aftershave. Smells great, cools, firms, and tones. Cool. Aqua Velva, men get it.
Wake up your whiskers with Electric Shave. Electric Shave! Stands up whiskers for an up to 52% closer shave.
Man, that was close.
Electric Shave. Blade close. Electric smooth.
Hi, may I help you?
Yeah, I'm looking for car insurance that isn't going to break the bank.
You're in the right place. Only Progressive gives you the option to name your price. Here.
A price gun?
Mm-hmm.
So I tell you what I want to pay.
And we build you a policy to fit your budget.
That's cool. Feel so empowered.
Power to the people!
The option to name your price. New and only from Progressive. Call or click.
Let's have a look how they stand in the overall classification at the start of the time trial. New challengers, Andy Schleck and Frank Schleck, moving into second and third behind Contador after they finished the first three places yesterday. Armstrong came in a little bit behind. He's at 3:55. Andreas Kloden fifth at 4:44. Well, let's go with our Cisco insider now. Catch up with Frankie Andreu. Earlier today, he's talking with Lance Armstrong.
Lance, the final time trial, you're used to doing very well in the final time trials of the Tour. What's your goal for today?
To do well.
Beyond that?
No, it's important for a couple of reasons. I mean, obviously we're close to the podium. We still have the Vaughan 2 to get over, or to get up. But you gotta have a good one today. Take some time out of the Schlecks, and then not get caught from behind. Clody's going to go fast. Wiggins is going to go fast. I like the course. It starts fast and flat, and then it's that bump in the middle is harder than people expect.
You talked about taking time out of the Schlecks. In your head, do you have any idea of what kind of time that you need, that you might feel safe when we get to Vaughan 2?
A second. If I get ahead of them, I'll be fine on the Vaughan 2.
On this course, you've ridden around it. Can you tell me, does it favor any type of rider, and do you think it favors you?
It's not a bad one for me. It's a little shorter than a typical final TT. Normally they're 50 or 55K. This one's just over 40, so this Tour just hasn't had many time trials in terms of total kilometers, but it's a good one. It's sunny out. I mean, the forecast was for showers. It would be a little sketchy in the rain, I think, but
how important is this day ranked into some of the other important days that you've matched during the Tour, and with this one, with you trying to get up to the podium?
Well, you can't compare. I mean, if you look at like 03, for example, when it was 19 seconds with Ulrich going into the No, actually, it was more than 19 seconds. It was a little more than that, but it was close enough that the fear was that he would come back and take the jersey on the second to last day. That was the most critical TT of my tours, but this one's, it's up there.
All right, thank you. Good luck.
Thanks.
Yes, Lance Armstrong, of course. Ulrich crashed in the wet that day. Let's hope it doesn't rain when Lance gets to run. Time trial then won by David Miller. Armstrong knew before he got to the finish he'd won the Tour de France. Remember him crossing the line and punching the air, actually, just like he was winning a road race. As we continue to watch Maxime Montfort now inside the last kilometre here. A little bit of wet on the surface, but the rain is away for the moment. I think it might be raining further out on the course. It seems to have gone across the lake, those big clouds. The crowd here enjoying the atmosphere of the Tour de France in town. The big riders are getting the bikes ready. They'll be coming to the start line very, very shortly now, as we're looking for the 9th from the end, Christophe Lemervel, the best Frenchman. He should be getting in the start house now, Paul.
He shouldn't be too far away from starting. Mikel Astrolosa is out on course. Maxime Montfort inside of the last half a kilometre. His time fading a fraction. He's going to go outside the time of Dave Zabriskie. But this has been a solid rider by the Belgian rider on Columbia HTC. It's been a solid ride throughout the whole of this Tour de France.
Absolutely. This is a great team, Columbia HTC. They've got a lot of young riders on it who are developing now, and they don't care which country they come from. As long as they've got talent, they find their way to Columbia HTC. Dropping down just on, he probably will drop out. No, he'll make the top 10. Maxime Montfort in at 49.49. Just a reminder, current standing before we get down to the hot riders in today's store, which may not upset the leaderboard. You never know. There'll be a lot of infighting going on now. Cancellara, who's led for an awful long time, he started midway through the field. He's an hour and 40 minutes behind the overall. But as we all know him, he's a terrific time trialist. That man is equally a very fast time trialist. David Miller has said on this program that he'll eat everybody alive today, in effect, and they're all racing for second place. Well, we'll find out. Contador's making sure he's warmed up, isn't he? My goodness, like a waterfall from the Alps. We'll take a break.
During times like these, it seems like the world will never be the same. But there is a light beginning to shine again. The spark began where it always begins. At a restaurant downtown, in a shop on Main Street, a factory around the corner. Entrepreneurs like these are the most powerful force in the economy. They drive change, and they'll relentlessly push their businesses to innovate and connect. As we look to the future, they'll be there ahead of us, lights on, showing us the way forward. This is just the beginning of the reinvention of business. And while we're sure we don't know all the answers, we do know one thing for certain. We want to help. Come see what the beginning looks like at openforum.com.
During the Autobahn for All event, you can get great deals.
It's perfect. I just want to make sure it's the right decision.
Future us? We got here as quick as we could.
Look, it's the CC. You don't pay for scheduled maintenance, you get the car of your dreams. Seriously, us. Just drive it.
You're right.
Let's take this one. It's a time-space continuum thing.
The future.
Now during the Autobahn for All event, lease a 2009 CC for just $319 a month. Hurry in before your future Volkswagen is history.
Miguel Angel Torres. Undefeated in 5 years. The best pound for pound in the world. Can undefeated Brian Bowles pose a threat? Ask his last 7 victims. Torres versus Bowles, live Sunday, August 9th, only on Versus.
We weren't just looking for someone to date. We were looking for someone to spend the rest of our life with.
It's one of the most important decisions in your life, and you don't just want to leave it to chance.
If you're ready to meet the love of your life, try eHarmony. At eHarmony, we thoroughly pre-screen your matches for you based on 29 dimensions of deep, meaningful compatibility, like intellect, values, and character.
We had so much in common.
was natural.
Experience the eHarmony difference for yourself. Review all your matches for free at eHarmony.com.
We need to send an expert.
A walking, talking, know-it-all.
Expert. A guru. How about Wu? Wu will do.
Where to?
First stop, Peru.
Then send Wu to Kathmandu.
What's next?
Timbuktu.
And area code 212. So Timbuktu, Kathmandu, Peru, and 212?
All by 2:30.
Not a problem.
Need an expert? Push a button. That's the human network effect. Learn more at cisco.com/newways.
Well, I was shopping for a new car. Which one's me? A cool convertible or an SUV? Too bad I didn't know my credit was whack, cause now I'm driving off the lot in a used subcompact. F-R-E-E, that spells free. Creditreport.com, baby. Saw their ads on my TV. Thought about going but was too lazy. Now instead of looking fly and rolling fat, my legs are sticking to the vinyl and my posse's getting laughed at. F-R-E-E, that spells free. Creditreport.com, baby. Offer applies with enrollment and triple advantage.
Welcome back. Licking his lips here now. The 8th from the end to make the start house. Christian van der Velde is now down the ramp. He finished 4th in the Tour de France last year, and I think he's coming strong again. He tried to do his best yesterday on the mountains to defend the position of Bradley Wiggins. He faded just before the end, but we saw a terrific display of strength by Christian as he tried desperately to stay up alongside Wiggins throughout that vicious day in the mountains. Christian quickly into his time trial position. This is 7th Tour de France, Christian van der Velde. And after finishing 4th last year, he really has found himself. He's going out in 8th place this year, so in really confirming what he did last year. We're back here now with George Hincapie. He's running around 25th on course at the moment, so he's doing around about the same position he holds in the overall classification. We're running to the end of the Tour de France, but it's not over yet. Tomorrow we go from Bourgoin, Jallieu to Aubenas. Stays 19. It has a hill near the end tomorrow, so I don't think it'll be a bunch sprint. We're back with you regular time of 8:30 a.m. on Saturday. Everybody's up early. Saturday, 7 a.m. Eastern Time. Full coverage of the ride from Montélimar to Mont Ventoux, where it finishes on the Giant of Provence. And by the top of that, we'll know who will win the Tour de France for the big ride home on Sunday. The yellow legs here of George Hincapie, well, yellow shoes really, of George Hincapie, keeping his rhythm, running mid-term, about 25th overall. He's not a lot of reason to bust a gut, I don't think, at this moment in time. Fabian Cancellara, early starter, still on top of the leaderboard. Top 5, in fact, haven't changed for quite a while. Just Christophe Moreau coming in and claiming 6th place ahead of Dave Zabriskie. Everybody moving down one. Evans went from 8th down to 9th. So the situation not really changing a lot, Paul, but it might, because the next man to start will be Vincenzo Nibali and then Bradley Wiggins.
Well, some big time trialists, Phil, starting at the back end of the afternoon. Wiggins, of course, Andreas Kloden, Lance Armstrong and Alberto Contador. So that could very easily change.
Here's Vincenzo Nibali, and again he's lived up to his newfound reputation. He's come to the Tour de France with a real hope of doing well, and I think he has done extremely well. There's been 3 riders on Liquid Gas who have done well. And Nibali in his 2nd Tour de France, having last year held the white jersey for 5 days and finished 18th. He looks like bettering that this time, Paul.
He certainly does. He was hoping to try and rival the white jersey of Andy Schleck, but he just wasn't able to stay in contact yesterday and lost a little bit of time on the climbs. He's looking for about 2.5 minutes on Andy Schleck and the white jersey competition.
Well, I think they're quite likely the best colours in the race. Look at that. How can you not enjoy a green car and a guy racing in green? All right, back on to versus.com/Ride of Your Life. Take part in our Cadillac Ride of Your Life sweepstakes. Big prizes, including a 2010 visit to the Tour de France. Today's code word is time clock. Now the big boys are about to come out to play, because the next man to go will be Bradley Wiggins. Well, it looks as though the clouds are moving slowly away from the lake. All the boats have come in because of the impending storm, and we're going down to the start house very shortly, because down there we are going to see the start of Bradley Wiggins. Out on course, we're picking up rides, but nobody, as we look at the leaderboard, Paul, nobody, any checkpoint is upsetting the rhythm there.
Yeah, but Phil, over the last few moments of this afternoon, we've got some very big time trial specialists who will come out to do battle. And of course, they've got something else they're battling for as well, and that's a high place in the overall standings. In the finishing straight, Sylvain Chavanel started quite rapidly, but seems to have quite improved over the last part of the course. The last part of this course, it seems as if you've got the legs, you really can do a very fast finish.
He won't quite get to Dave Brisky's time, and he won't get to Tony Martin's time. I don't think he's going to get to Cadell Evans's time, in all honesty, but he's very close to the line now. He'll just be outside of Cadell Evans's time. Even the quick sprint won't save the hammer to fall. But even so, it's a good ride by Sylvain Chavanel as he comes in now. He claims 11th place for the moment, but now the pace is about to hot up. There is Lance Armstrong stretching out his back. He's still a couple of minutes away, 6 minutes away from his start time, probably nearer 7. Shaking hands with the chief referee, Martin Bruin, who's a Dutchman. There's his beautiful yellow Trek, which he said he was bringing out today. I think he probably hoped he had a yellow jersey on as well. Off goes the bottle for the souvenir hunters. You know, this guy is the Tour de France. He came back, and so did the viewing figures all around the world, and also the crowds to the event. He is a magnet, an absolute magnet. The president of France yesterday, Nicolas Sarkozy, said he was a great athlete. He had a lot of glowing things. We're in the car here with Matt White, who will be going out behind Bradley Wiggins. We've got a camera in there as well. Wiggins is already through to the start house. There he is. He looks incredibly composed, doesn't look at all nervous. We've seen him sit like this in Olympic Games 4,000-meter pursuits where he's won gold medals. He looked absolutely composed there, Paul. This man has psyched himself up for the start like he was going for gold at an Olympic 4,000 meters pursuit.
Well, what he has to do, I think, Phil, is to take the speed of the Olympic Games in the individual pursuit and transfer it to, instead of over 4 kilometers, over 40 kilometers. He is a phenomenal time trialist. He's slimmed himself down dramatically over the last 12 months to change himself from being a top track rider to being one of the top riders in the world. I just quickly noticed there, Phil, just out of interest, he's riding an elliptical train wheel on the front.
Well, that gives you a little bit of power over the top. It seems to work for some. Cameras have gone back to Nibali, but Bradley Wiggins now is chasing Vincenzo Nibali by 3 minutes. And I wouldn't say he's safe at all from the man from London. There's Nibali down there. He's into his rhythm now. The next time checks we get from the race are going to be very, very interesting. Wiggins is gone then. Andreas Kloden, who was so close to being up with the leaders yesterday and dropped off when his teammate attacked him on the Col de Colombier and dismissed him. A lot of people are saying Kloden could win the time trial today.
Well, especially Lance Armstrong, who said, watch out to see Clody fly. And Kloden is a very good individual time trialist. It's all, to me, Phil, extremely important on the 3.5 kilometer section in the middle part of the course, because this course is catching a lot of riders out by surprise, including their Bryce Fellou. This is a study of what a time trialing position should look like. He's a big man, Bradley Wiggins, extremely tall, in excess of 6 foot, but he's got himself down into a locked, solid aerodynamic position.
Yes, it's his playground now. The dishing out of pain which Alberto Contador gave Wiggins yesterday in the high mountains might be reversed today. Wiggins is one of the best time trial riders in the world. I think he is also mentally ready for it. Mentally ready to do a ride that might put him into a podium place going towards Paris. With 1 kilometer to go here as we switch back. It's George Hincapie coming home now.
Well, Hincapie, I think, is just happy, Phil, to have got himself around this course this afternoon. He's outside the time of Fabian Cancellara. He's also outside the time of Gustav Larsson. So it's not going to be a top 3 finish for George. But George is thinking, I think, a little bit further down the road now. He's thinking now already about the Champs-Élysées on Sunday and the possibility of being the big lead-out man for Mark Cavendish.
So Hincapie now riding towards the finish. I would imagine, too, it's been a very painful ride with him with that bruised collarbone. Rather than broken, because he doesn't want to go for an x-ray to find out the truth. He's continuing in his Tour de France. So George Hincapie comes home here, not worried about the time he's conceding, certainly not to the quality of the likes of Fabian Cancellara. As he draws up towards the finishing line, I don't think he'll even be in the top 20 now as times tick away, but even so, not important. He's been around about 25th best at all of the time checks, and it's probably the region where George Hincapie is going to bring it home today.
Well, for Hincapie, it's a question of just getting this stage out of the way and getting himself psyched up and ready to do battle tomorrow and the next day when we go to the slopes of the Mont Ventoux. The next time checks to start to dribble in, though, Phil, will be extremely interesting. Wiggins is out on course. The man chasing him is Andreas Kloden.
Andreas Kloden getting ready for his big time trial today. He's no stranger to the Tour de France. This is his 7th event. He has twice been on the podium, 2nd overall in the Tour de France. Now he's underway. The last time he finished the Tour de France was 2006 when he was 2nd, as he now starts to settle into. Still a little bit annoyed at the way Contador dismissed him and dropped him and kept Frank and Andy Schleck in the action yesterday. And it probably cost Kloden the 2nd place overall in the start in the time trial today. So as the ride now continues, hello, here comes Lance Armstrong. He's next to go. This is round the back. He's going in circles here, waiting for the final call. He's got 3 minutes. Time is ticking, but of course he won't go up there till a minute to go. The last minute possible. He's warm. He's been warmed up on the turbos. Here we go. That'll be the steepest hill he'll climb today, but not the longest. Signs in just to prove he's in the Tour de France still. 4 years since he did this, and he's only lost one of these final Tour de France time trials, and that went to Dave Miller. But he was racing really head-to-head with Jan Ullrich on that occasion on the road to Nantes. Time to fill up with a drink. Very composed. Another day in the office, he thinks. I wonder. Let's see what he can do. You heard Levi Leipheimer talk today about his mate Lance Armstrong. Did you see the 2 Schleck brothers there looking at Lance? Those boys are like Siamese twins. They're even holding on to each other before they come to the start house. They're going to give us a thrill today as well, for sure. They're very, very popular guys. They both speak fluent English as well. You can feel their personalities. But all Lance wants to do is to blow them away. There they are, Frank on the right and Andy in the white jersey. He won that white jersey last year. They know they have to ride as fast as Lance Armstrong today, and that's a tall order, believe me. They are not the quality of time trialist that Lance is. But can Lance produce the goods again after 4 years away? He was 10th in the first time trial in Monaco, but that was a different course, different time, 3 weeks ago. Bodies have changed since then. 30 seconds to go. Time to check the pedal off position, and the weather's good at the moment, and it might be good too. Chance a little inspiration on the head tube there for Lance Armstrong. He'll just take a few deep breaths. He stares straight ahead, thinking what might be in about 45 minutes time. So the final composture of Lance Armstrong back in the Tour de France, back in the time trial, looking for a win, which doesn't usually elude him in the time trial. But we'll see what he can do now. He's down the bank. He's got to go now. The crowd is cheering him away. The biggest cheer of the day.
Well, just talking to somebody yesterday, Phil, who was at the top of the Col de la Colombière, said that when Armstrong came over the top there in 4th position on the road, the biggest crowd was reserved for him. I think the crowd have really got behind this man. The French have supported Armstrong in his comeback, as did yesterday the French president, Nicolas Sarkozy, who had nothing bad at all to say about the man from Austin, Texas.
He certainly did not. In fact, he was full of admiration for Lance Armstrong, making a return to the sport. He always has liked Lance Armstrong, which hasn't been the way of the French in general and the press in particular. I think they were a little perturbed when he supported Lance because they couldn't write anything bad about it this morning. Anyway, Lance is underway. He's settled into his position, and boy, can he deliver, as the first time checks will reveal all.
The elliptical chainring here of Bradley Wiggins. He's looking for the first time check at 18 kilometers. That's in the town of Dussart. 147 riders have reached that point so far, with Mikhail Ignatiev, himself a very good track rider, Olympic gold medalist too in 2004, who stopped the clock there at 20 minutes and 21 seconds. Probably in about 15 minutes time now we'll get a chance to see if Bradley Wiggins is on a good ride. A special bike for Lance Armstrong this afternoon, Phil, the Livestrong time trial bike.
Well, as he settles into his rhythm here, the weather is good. If anything, the wind has dropped quite a lot at the moment. The first time check comes at 18 kilometers in. He needs to take 20 minutes and 21 seconds to get there to be the best time alongside Ignatieff. Don't forget, Cancellara went early, still finished. I'm watching everything on television now, just in case. While he's the head of the leaderboard, he's not allowed to leave the area. He's wanted for the prize presentation. Lance is he knows this course inside out. He's ridden it this morning. He's keeping to the right-hand side, the shortest route around.
Well, Lance Armstrong, Phil, is looking for 1:29 on the time of Andy Schleck if he's going to move into second place in the overall standings tonight. He's looking for 30 seconds on the time of Frank Schleck. And we all know the two Schleck brothers are great mountain climbers, but certainly when they come to this specialized discipline of the sport, the individual time trial, it is not the part of the sport that they enjoy the most.
The referees hope they've got it right. They've allowed start gaps of 3 minutes, 30 seconds to go for Frank Schleck. He's in his 4th Tour de France. He was 10th at the first attempt in 2006. He won the most coveted stage of all to Alpe d'Huez. He was 17th in 2007. He was 5th in 2008 when he held the yellow jersey for 2 days. Now, what does 2009 hold as he sits in 3rd place overall after a brilliant ride yesterday?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, top!
And Frank Schleck now rolling down the track for 40.5 kilometers. He realizes, Phil, this is possibly a rendezvous with destiny for him. He knows that the time trialists like Armstrong, Contador, and of course Bradley Wiggins will be breathing down his neck by the end of the day once we rearrange the top end of the overall classification. It is so difficult to ride a time trial if it's not your speciality. He's picked a very special machine this afternoon, very deep carbon fiber rims at the front where we go up to the front a little bit further up the road, 3 minutes to be precise. Lance Armstrong.
Just when he feels himself slowing, perhaps, he jumps out of the saddle, grits his teeth, picks up the rhythm again, gets it going on the top end, drops back. Remember, he's heading to the 18-kilometer check. It'll take him 20 minutes. If he gets there inside that, he'll win for sure. We'll see. This is Wiggins again.
Not in his biggest gear, but he knows how to ride a small gear fast. He's done it on the track. He's won himself 3 Olympic gold medals. He's not budged at all. Look at the way he's sitting right on the front end of his saddle there, Phil, and keeping himself tucked in at the front end of the machine as well. He is trying to get everything out of his body over the first flat part of the course. Last man to start now, coming into the starting area, but he won't start for a few more minutes.
Still, we've got to see the start of Andy Schleck, who's now getting up towards the start house, while meanwhile the last man at the 158 is such a talented climber in Alberto Contador. He now goes round in circles like a cage lion, waiting to get into that start house. Wiggins now is into his rhythm. He's 11 minutes up the road now, so he's approximately over halfway to the first check, and that's when we'll see what he's doing. He too, of course, is aiming at 2021 of Ignatieff, but more importantly, they're aiming to gain time on one another of these last 6 riders to start.
What a massive battle coming up to the top of the climb here. Vladimir Karpets, a laboured style, is using a massive gear as he tries to keep himself up in the top 20 of the riders to have stopped the clock at this second time check at the summit of the climb, the Côte de Vleughey.
Well, it's a very good time by Karpets, not expected to cause any immediate upset. He won the Tour of Switzerland a couple of years ago, and he did produce an excellent time trial. He's gone through in 13th place, so he's staying right up amongst it here today. Ignatieff, the young Russian who's a world and Olympic champion on the track, has certainly turned in a ride here. Back to the start. Andy Schleck gets the 30 seconds in his ear. The Luxembourger. Luxembourg's never had 2 riders at this level of the sport, and here they are going out today lying 2nd and 3rd in the Tour de France. That has certainly never happened before. Andy is 2nd.
Andy, winner this year of a very big, solid state race called Liège-Bastogne-Liège, the oldest one-day classic on the calendar, and winning himself the National Road Race Championship. But for him, this is probably much more important as a rendezvous, the time trial, to try and keep himself on the podium.
And can you have a better magnet than your own brother, because they are so close friends, 3 minutes up the road. He starts off now. He'll settle in as fast as he can. He's riding now because he knows the mountains hold no fears for him. Mont Ventoux He's not worried about that. He wants to stop Wiggins, Armstrong, Cloden running away with time today so he can hold on for when he gets to Mont Ventoux.
And the time checks he will be looking at, Phil, out on the course will be the time checks of his own teammate, Fabian Cancellara, who has the fastest time in the finishing lane at the moment. Cancellara stopped the clock in 48.33, and you can be certain that Cancellara would have given these two young brothers a little bit of advice on exactly how to handle themselves out on the course.
That's right. He did ride the course with them this morning, and he did say to them, he did point out the direction of the wind. He said he pointed out where the holes in the road were. He showed them which side of the road to ride as they made the difference, and he is hoping that they can match him. But he knows realistically, I don't think anybody on his team can match Fabian Cancellara. So that's the marker. Cancellara might be the marker for the whole race, in fact.
It very well could be. Armstrong there trying to remember that he is and was the greatest time trialist in the world at one stage. And when he went to win the Tour de France on 7 occasions, he won the final time trial 6 times, only missing out in 2003, which I suppose you would have to say was his annus horribilis.
Indeed it was. This is Feliu, Bryce Feliu, coming to finish his first Tour de France, sees the finishing line, kicks for the line. He doesn't really need a great time now. He's had his great moments in this Tour. Brief lead in the King of the Mountains, a stage win in Andorra. Now he comes across the line, a very good time. 25 miles in 52.38 for the 61st position.
Well, check this out for a man at speed. Bradley Wiggins, you can see the deep carbon fiber rim at the front. That's to make the front end of the machine as aerodynamic as possible, but he doesn't want to have a full solid disc wheel in the front there because he needs this bike to still be maneuverable, especially in the slight crosswinds that we'll get every now and again. But the important thing, Bradley, is to keep a little bit in the gas tank for this climb, the Côte de Bluffy, which is very difficult. You have to go from one end of the overall gears right down to the opposite end.
Alberto Contador, the maillot jaune of the Tour de France. He's battled with his team, he's battled with the rest of the race. He's been a little bit disturbing the way he's attacked his own team on the climbs of Arcolis and indeed yesterday on the climb of the Col de Colombier. But he's insatiable. He's an incredible talent, and now he comes to the start of a time trial as the champion of Spain. He won it the week before the Tour started. He'd never won it before, and now we'll see if he can go well today.
Well, he will try and rival the times, of course, of the man who finished second to him in the time trial, Luis Leon Sanchez, who was third at the top of the climb. He will have all of these references now, Phil, as the last man to start.
3, 2, 1, top!
Well, as the cameramen there scrabble to get to the other end of the course to catch them coming back, the crowd have cheered away the maillot jaune. It has been an idyllic day for the start and finish of the Tour de France time trial here in Annecy. Now the maillot jaune just straightened his helm a little bit, quickly into his position. Contador, remember, one of only 5 riders in the world to have won all 3 Grand Tours, Spain, Italy and France. He won France 2 years ago, couldn't come back last year for political reasons. His team wasn't invited, but now he's back and now he's free to fly.
Well, he's won every one of the last Grand Tours that he has participated in. The Tour de France, a last-minute selection last year to the Tour of Italy, and then the Vuelta a España at the end of last season. But this year, Phil, he has based everything on the month of July. He wanted to be absolutely perfect coming out here. One of the reasons he rode the Spanish Time Trial Championships was because he wanted to test out this machine, the actual machine he's riding in the time trial here around Annecy.
Well, it went well, no doubt about that, in the Spanish Time Trial Championships. Now, as he lays down here, his face already in a grimace of pain. Remember that all of these top riders now speeding towards the 18-kilometer check. None of them are there yet, but they can't be far away, I must say. The crowd will slowly disappear around the course now as they try to get round to the other side of Annecy for the finish. French flag flies high above Lance Armstrong, back in the Tour de France. I still can't believe it. I never thought we'd commentated about with Lance again in a time trial of this quality. He rides 21. This is team leader 20. He rides 21 here. So now it's all about getting into the slipstream and enjoy. Everybody now is either finished or on course, and they may not match the time of Fabian Cancellara, but they've got to race head-to-head and try and gain time off one another. In the case of people like Andy Schleck, he must gain a lot of time as well. We'll take a break, rejoin us as we get back on course.
Roundup Extended Control does 2 jobs at once. 1.
kills weeds to the root. 2, forms a barrier, preventing new ones for up to 4 months. Roundup Extended Control.
FearNet uncovers the dark side of Comic-Con. For the latest movies, shows, and stars.
Is it cool or what?
Go to FearNet.com starting July 23rd and get your con on.
Stop your auto repair bills now. If you own a car with less than 250,000 miles, you can get an extended warranty that will finally stop your repair bills. Just call now or go to StopRepairBills.com. When you own a car, SUV, or truck, sooner or later it will need repair, and that can cost you thousands of dollars right out of your pocket. Just one transmission job could cost over $3,000. A new engine could cost over $4,000, but you won't have to pay a cent. Call now or visit StopRepairBills.com and we'll cover 100% of the costs. This isn't a dealer's warranty. It's much better and costs less. Because you only pay for the coverage you need. You even choose the repair shop. And we pay them directly so you don't wait to be reimbursed. The sooner you call, the sooner you're covered.
Call 1-800-568-0063. A free 5-minute call can save you thousands in auto repair. Call 1-800-568-0063 and stop paying repair bills now.
There are moments in life when there are no limits, no boundaries, no walls. That the rules of gravity just don't apply. Because there is no statute of limitations on greatness.
Through the years, many things pass from father to son, like Aqua Velva Aftershave. Smells great, cools, firms, and tones. Cool. Aqua Velva, men get it. Wake up your whiskers with Electric Shave. Electric Shave! Stands up whiskers for an up to 52% closer shave.
Man, that was close.
Electric Shave. Blade close, electric smooth.
Hi, may I help you?
Yeah, I'm looking for car insurance that isn't going to break the bank.
You're in the right place. Only Progressive gives you the option to name your price. Here.
A price gun?
Mm-hmm.
So I tell you what I want to pay.
And we build you a policy to fit your budget.
That's cool. Feel so empowered.
Power to the people!
The option to name your price. New and only from Progressive. Call or click.
Wiggins.
Very quickly, log on to Versus.com, create your very own fantasy cycling team and enjoy and win some of the many prizes here. Just log on to Versus.com and learn more. As we rejoin the action, this is Lance Armstrong, still not reached the first check yet. Nibali has gone through at just ahead of Wiggins. Wiggins is racing to that check right now. Nibali is only 16th best time. But in 10th best place, a very good ride by Christian van der Velde. He's gone through ahead of Nibali. So we're going to get the truth revealed in a few seconds now as Bradley Wiggins arrives at that checkpoint. Still, it's got Frank Schleck as he continues here. We're based on time here. They're saying the Classement General at the moment is Schleck, but of course Contador hasn't gone through yet.
Yes, but the fact is, Phil, what it's trying to tell us is that Lance Armstrong is around about 4 seconds away from getting that lead, that third place. But Bradley Wiggins has just gone through with the fastest time, faster than Mikhail Ignatieff by a single second. 20:20 for Bradley Wiggins. He has gone out like a fire.
Well, that is a tremendous start for Wiggins, and that is what David Miller said he would do. He said everybody would race for second place. It's early, because don't forget, if you get some speed at the back end, as Cancellara did, then you will lose ground. It's hard now, and it's a very fast finish, but Wiggins is on course. 20:20. Now, what about the next men to follow him? Next through will be Andreas Kloden, followed by Armstrong, then the Schlecks, and finally Contador. Wiggins is blazing the leader's trail.
Well, Armstrong getting into that low position of his. He's slowed off a fraction, maybe a second slower now than Frank Schleck, but the Schlecksville will go up this climb. The Côte de Bluffy may be faster than Lance Armstrong. They will be motivated by that part of the course. But that performance by Wiggins is certainly starting to lay down the gauntlet. Fabian Cancellara 19 seconds slower than Bradley Wiggins at kilometre 18.
So we're looking at Bradley Wiggins at the moment, the best time recorded thus far, but there are still 5 more riders to hit that first check at 18 kilometres. Wiggins will shortly be heading out to the Côte de Bluffy, which is the nasty little climb. Look at the face of Armstrong here. This is a man back in cycling big time at the highest possible level and mixing it with them all.
Well, there are 5 more riders to get to that first time check. The next man to get there probably in 1.5 minutes time will be Andreas Kloden. 3 minutes after that, Armstrong, then the Schleck brothers, and then Alberto Contador.
Vladimir Karpitz approaching the finish here, just tickling the top 10. I think he'll fall away probably 13th to 14th if he hasn't improved on the checks that we have seen. If he hits the line, he's given a time. It hasn't come up actually as he's gone through the line. So
well, a bit of confusion because Stefan Goubert came in just at the same time there as well.
Got mixed up there. Well, it doesn't matter. It wasn't a scorching time by either of those riders. As we go back out to Lance Armstrong here, he's been in the saddle 17 minutes at the moment, so he's got to be no more than about 3 minutes away from that check if he's going to rival Bradley Wiggins.
Well, he's looking at the start of the day, Phil, for 30 seconds on Frank Schleck's 3rd place in the overall standings and 1 minute 29 on Andy Schleck's position. The big battle you can see there between these 2 riders, Schleck on the right-hand side, Armstrong on the left. And it could very well be decided on the slopes of the climb of the Côte de Bluffy, but Frank Schleck is actually riding probably one of his most solid time trials if he's keeping himself within 30 seconds of Lance Armstrong.
Well, it's an incredible start. Lance Armstrong, though, has wasted no time whatsoever here in getting off to a quick start. He's gone right up at the top of the cadence. He's suffering, but that's what you do in a time trial. As Armstrong goes through these people here, he's heading up in the distance there. We're going to get the check at the 18-kilometre point. Wiggins is the leader there at the moment. 20-20. As Armstrong pushes through this big crowd, the familiar rocking, rolling of the shoulders, the punching of those big legs. Armstrong now trying to live with the greats of time trialing on his comeback tour.
Well, his teammate should have been not too far away from going through that 18-kilometre time check. Andreas Kloden, the fastest man at that first point at Bradley Wiggins for the first time, dethroning Mikhail Ignatiev, who started very early on in the morning.
Well, we haven't got any update on Kloden at all. Here he is now.
He's just come through there, Phil, with the 3rd best time, faster than Fabian Cancellara, in 19 seconds behind Bradley Wiggins.
So that's 19 down on Bradley. So that is the sort of progress that Bradley Wiggins will want if he is to move up towards the podium in Paris, because remember, the mountains will be unlucky for him perhaps in the Mont Ventoux. He'll have to really bury himself there to live with them. So this is his moment now to gain time.
Well, Wiggins was 9 seconds behind Kloden at the start of the day, Phil, in 6th position. He's already 19 seconds faster than him at 18 kilometres. So Wiggins currently has overtaken Andreas Kloden.
Well, that's the first mission accomplished, but the race has only done 18 kilometres. The next man to arrive at that split will be Lance Armstrong. Wiggins is now moving on. We will get one more check on our computer, but not on the television, at around about 25 kilometres. The check on screen comes at 28.5, so we will be able to update you a little bit. This is now the man we almost forgot about in the infight there, Alberto Contador, the sweeper in the maillot jaune, who showed us in this Tour de France he really is the most talented bike rider. Now, he will know the battle up front. He knows that everybody's trying to reshuffle behind him.
And he will also know that it's a question of pride for the man in the yellow jersey to try and win the final time trial in the Tour de France. He knows that his teammate Lance Armstrong did it on 6 occasions out of 7 when he went on to win the Tour between 1999 and 2005, and he would also like to do the same thing.
Well, Christian van der Velde has slowed a little bit at the second check. He's gone through 25 kilometres. He was 10th. He's now slipped to 14th. Armstrong driving on to stop the Festina time up there. Now this is going to be an interesting time. The time has already dropped away, though, of Wiggins, so he's falling behind Bradley Wiggins at this point, as Lance Armstrong wants that clock to stop as quickly as possible. The best time is Wiggins in 20 minutes 20 seconds. Armstrong is conceding at 18 kilometres, about 2029. 2029.
I reckon
official.
It's 2029 as he went through there, and that will put him faster than his own teammate Andreas Kloden, but around about 29 seconds slower than Bradley Wiggins.
So Lance Armstrong is still living among them there at 18 kilometers to go. Armstrong has gone through with the third best time, 9 seconds slower than Bradley Wiggins. So he's still up there, and he's 10 seconds quicker than Andreas Kloden. We'll take a break. Rejoin us soon.
It's right here. It's easy. It's the money you could be saving with Geico.
Get 20% more cash for your broken, unwanted, or mismatched gold jewelry. Cash for Gold, the largest volume consumer gold buyer in the USA, is on an extended buying spree. Prices are still at all-time highs, and we still can't keep up with demand. So we've raised our goal $100 million and extended our deadline. Now we're out to buy $200 million in gold by the end of summer, September 30th. Send us any unwanted, broken, or mismatched gold jewelry right now. Call for a free prepaid envelope. Fill it with the items you want to sell, send it to our secure processing center, and get ready to count your cash. And to meet our new $200 million goal, we've increased our cash payout by 20%. Cash for Gold owns its own refinery. There's no middleman, just more cash for you. And now we're paying even 20% more cash. Call before the gold rush ends September 30th.
Call 1-800-953-7993 or visit cash4gold.com.
7 races left when IndyCar returns to Versus. Sunday at 5.
You think the fans on the road to Paris are crazy? Try Jersey Joker on for size.
They're riding a bike!
It's Fanarchy on Versus, an uprising of real sports fans.
7 times you won. That's enough.
He's got nothing to prove.
From their webcams to your TV. Fanarchy on Versus.
A race is where you're going to go really fast. You won't go any faster anywhere else.
Yeah, I think that's the beauty of the sport of cycling. It's more about fun, it's about lifestyle, commitment.
Cycling holds a really special place in my heart. It always will.
Lollipop, lollipop, oh lolly, 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 lollipop. Boom, boom, boom.
Attention! Select Dell Minis come standard with Verizon Wireless mobile broadband built in, so you can surf the web, check email, chat, and download on the go. All on America's largest and most reliable 3G network.
I call her lollipop.
Treat yourself to the 10-inch Mini with your choice of 6 colors, starting at just $3.99. Dell, yours is here.
Saturday. Heroes and villains, babes and robots, dark nights and Jedi nights. Everything awesome is happening at Comic-Con, and only G4 can get you inside.
It does not get any bigger than this right here.
We're there first with news and previews of the biggest blockbuster movies, plus G4's world broadcast exclusive of the Star Wars Spectacular panel event.
Comic-Con!
Comic-Con 09 Live, Saturday at 2, only on G4.
Welcome back. Well, at the moment, we're looking at Bradley Wiggins here. Let's check in with Matt White.
Still fastest at the first time check. They're faster than Armstrong, faster than Kloden, faster than Cancellara.
And he's telling him he's faster than all of those names you heard, Armstrong, Cancellara. He's actually slower than Mikel Ignatieff at the second check by 10 seconds, but that really may not matter in the big picture. Carlos Sastre, last year's winner, coming in again. His face telling it's not been a great ride by Carlos as he hits the line. So 52-17 and 59th place for Carlos Sastre, but the time of Frank Schleck is, as we always thought, Paul, he's not a great time trialist. He's lost ground there.
Well, he's lost to 44 seconds, Phil, over 18 kilometres against a man who is a serious specialist against the clock, Bradley Wiggins. But he may well have a chance to recover a fraction in the middle part of the course, as long as he's getting good coaching from his team manager, Bjarne Riis.
Waiting now for the arrival of Andy Schleck. He'll be the next man at that checkpoint. situation at the first check is Wiggins, Ignatieff. We can dismiss him, I think. Armstrong, Cloden, Cancellara has dropped down to equal fourth. At the second check, though, Wiggins has gone behind Ignatieff, indicating this part of the course is a little bit difficult even for him. But again, we only need to compare Wiggins against Armstrong, the Schlecks and Contador, and indeed Cloden.
It's a separate battle, isn't it, really, between Wiggins, Cloden and Armstrong. They're all fighting the Schleck brothers as we go to the top of the climb here. This is Christian van der Velde. He's slowed down a fraction too. He was 10th at the first time check. He's dragging his body up this mountain pass here, and it really is turning out to be a big mountain pass. To me, the guys who performed the best this afternoon, Phil, are the men who've recovered over the last 2 days of the difficult days we've had through the Alps.
Well, these are the little climbs which hurt when you've got to hit them at 45 kilometers an hour. 61 seconds conceded there. To the best time at the moment at that checkpoint of Ignatieff. This is Alberto Contador. Continues to head. He's about 3 minutes, maybe a little bit more, away from the check at 18 kilometers.
We still have to wait for the arrival of Andy Schleck at that time check. His brother was 18th at the first time check, losing 44 seconds.
But Lance Armstrong has continued on now. He's gone through as he heads on up to the next check, which will come at 25 kilometers. And it's a tough ride, that. Cloden has gone through at 25 kilometers, dropping off the map a little bit. Only 11th best time, 31 seconds down.
Well, that's the next part of the course is going to be important for Bradley Wiggins, Phil, because on the slopes of the climb, a lot of riders have started to suffer and to slow down. We haven't even got to the arrival yet of this man. A great ride by Andy Schleck, who's just gone through the first time check there, Phil, with the 8th time, only losing himself 26 seconds.
That's 26 seconds based on Bradley Wiggins by Andy Schleck there. Now that is a very good resistance. It's a show of defiance by the young man. He might hang on too on the next sector because of the climb, but it'll go against him on the return once we get to the flatter roads.
Once it comes to getting the speed up to 50, 55 kilometers an hour, it certainly may well go against him, but there's some very fast times now starting to be recorded. Ronaldo Nocentini was the erstwhile leader of this Tour de France from the Pyrenees all the way through to the Alps, and now he's just trying to keep himself in the top 10 or 15 of the Tour de France this afternoon. But he can always take away the souvenir from the 2009 Tour de France that he did wear the yellow jersey, and he wore it with pride.
He certainly did. 7 yellow jerseys for him to take home as we go back out on course with, well, just seeing Lance Armstrong again here. Settling in nicely. There's only one man left to come to the first check at 18 kilometers, and at the moment Bradley Wiggins, Gary was his father, Bradley Wiggins is now heading the board there. Can Contador upset it all and deliver the best time? We're looking for a time of Contador of 2020.
Well, that's the time to beat, and a great time set by Bradley Wiggins, just 1 second faster than Mikhail Ignatieff and 9 seconds faster than Lance Armstrong. Now, this is the arrival of Alberto Contador. It looks like 20 minutes on the clock. He's going to go inside the time of Bradley Wiggins. No official time check, but there it is, unofficially 20:03.
Well, that is absolutely amazing. Alberto Contador had a speed wobble on turning left there, 20:02. That is the best time, 18 seconds quicker than the Wiggins, who's the champion at the moment. Well, that we've all gone through the 18-kilometer check now of the contenders. Contador is best at 20:02. Wiggins is second, +18. And then Lance is in there in third at +9. This has been an amazing race today, and it's far from finished yet. We'll continue when we come back, as they're all now head-to-head around the lake here in Annecy.
Kelly Saunders Nature Valley. The place that inspires her to go faster and slower. Elk Mountains, Colorado. Where's yours? 100% natural Nature Valley granola bars. The taste nature intended.
Adaptive friction extinguishers? And hypertronic wear resistors? Seriously?
I use the one that offers an engine guarantee.
Yeah.
Only Valvoline guarantees your engine up to 300,000 miles. Get Valvoline. Get guaranteed.
Wow. 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 It's the wow sale.
Get your wow at Trek dealers. Wow prices on bikes. Wow savings on accessories and gear. Save big now through the end of the tour and win.
Win Lance's bike.
Win my bike. You can win my bike and other great Trek prizes.
Scratch and win every day online or at your local dealer.
Wow.
Wow. Wow. Every day.
Save big. Win big now. July 17th through the 26th at Trek dealers.
New Stouffer's Corner Bistro Stromboli. Seasoned Italian-style crust filled with delicious meats and real cheese. Because getting ready for a good dinner doesn't always mean setting the table. New from Stouffer's.
The World Championships begin August 15th, part of Versus Red, White, Black, and Blue Summer.
In Loveland, Colorado, at the Budweiser Events Center, comes an event where tickets start at $15. It's World Wrestling Entertainment. It's Raw Live in Loveland. Tickets from the May 24th show will be honored.
Brought to you locally by Hayek Chevrolet in Longmont. Hayek Chevrolet is your local family-owned dealership today and in the future.
WWE, the best value in entertainment.
It's the symbol of superiority for which they all fight. But every tournament only has one champion. 2009 will take a select few to legendary heights and bring others to their knees. But they continue the fight with some fresh faces entering the fray. Because it's what they know. It's what they do best. Watch the Champions Tour all season long on Golf Channel.
Welcome back. Let's listen in to the team car here of Bradley Wiggins. Matt White is talking to the man on the road.
Now up the speed as quick as possible and stay on the left. Little chicane and we stay on the left. Very good, Bradley. Very good.
You can see on the right there that he's hit the best time.
Fastest time by 4 seconds.
That's music to your ears. Fastest time by 4 seconds. So he reversed a little reversal out there at the second check, which you can't see, but we can. At 25 kilometers, he was 10 seconds slower than Ignatieff. So he's gained 14 seconds on Ignatieff on that climb. We've gone back here to Lance Armstrong. And this is Andreas Kloden also, but Andreas in a little bit of trouble now, as you can see the clock. He's aiming at 37.20 of Bradley Wiggins. He's going to be a little bit late for that. It's a long way up to the cameras here for Andreas Kloden. Well, there's the real target now. We're talking real time against real time. Charles is aiming for a yellow jersey in the Tour de France. Bradley Wiggins is still best time, and it's now slipped away for Andreas Kloden. These are valuable seconds that Wiggins is claiming here. As Kloden comes up for Astana, he passes to our camera before that will stop. These are good gains now. Christophe Moreau, he's lost that too. It's been a hard climb for Andreas Kloden, Paul. He's 15 seconds down on Wiggins.
Well, he's 15 seconds down on Wiggins, but he's gone through in a similar time to Fabian Cancellara, who, let's not forget, has the fastest time at the finishing line. Wiggins is fastest at the top of the climb. The next man to come to the top of the climb will be Lance Armstrong on his special decked-out Livestrong machine.
Well, he'll be next to get up that hill now. At the moment, Wiggins has gone through in the best time at 37.20. He reversed a 10-second deficit at the interim check, which we're not showing on screen at Talloires after 25 kilometers. So in just 3 kilometers of climbing, he was much stronger, in fact, than Ignatieff.
He certainly was. Armstrong fourth at the first time check behind his own teammate, Alberto Contador. 27 seconds adrift there behind the Spanish time trial champion. Armstrong on the final slopes of the climb now, Phil, and he's still got a very high cadence. He's still looking very nervous and energetic.
And Lance Armstrong riding up the climb here. He's enjoyed his return to the Tour de France. He'll be back next year, and he says, I'll be even better. And I think he will too. Lance Armstrong now out of the saddle as he looks here. You wouldn't think it by his face, but he just loves time trialing. He's won most of the ones he's ever ridden amongst his 22 stage wins in previous Tours de France. He really is taking the shortest way round here. A little way to go yet to the check.
Yes, he's been on the bike now, Phil, for 36 minutes, and about a 1.5 minutes time he should be able to get himself up to that time check at 28.5 kilometers covered. Then it's all about the final 12 kilometers. Can you lift the pace? Can you push the speed up to 55 kilometers an hour to round off a very high average speed at the end of the day?
Well, Frank Schleck has conceded 1 minute and 20 seconds now away off Bradley Wiggins. He's gone through the 25-kilometer check, so he's losing a lot of time here. Wiggins could eat himself into a podium position with just a few days to go to Paris if he continues at this speed.
Christophe Lemavelle into the finishing straight, faded a little bit this afternoon. He's had a lot of pressure on his shoulders to try and keep up in the best place Frenchman performance. He's rivaling the time there of Stuart O'Grady as he comes to the finishing line, but he too, I think, could come out and do a little bit more battle over the next couple of stages.
3 minutes 18 conceded there by Christophe Lemavelle, and that's again only to Fabien Cancellara. It's how much will he concede to Bradley Wiggins, I think, because we've gone back to Lance Armstrong now. Remember, the time of Wiggins is 37 minutes and 20 seconds. Lance is up in the same region, but he will concede time, but he's not conceding a lot here as he heads up towards the top of the climb. Wiggins 37.20 is just gone by now, so he's gaining time on Armstrong. In fact, Armstrong expected to lose a little time to him, but he believes he can outclimb Wiggins on Mont Ventoux, so he'll just try to limit his losses, I think.
Well, he started the day 58 seconds ahead of Bradley Wiggins in the overall classification, and that is what he was hoping to try and conserve. He wants to try and get himself up to third if he can, and then defend that on the slopes of Mont Ventoux at the weekend.
This has hurt Armstrong, Paul, because he's now gone behind his teammate Andries Claude, and he's up against Evans here. Evans is going by as well, so Lance is slowing a little bit on that. The toughest section of the course, remember. It's always a long way underneath our camera before we stop the clock, but when we do, we're going to find now that Lance has lost a little bit of time here. 42 seconds to Wiggins.
42 seconds to Wiggins, but Armstrong now has to get his head around this and try and pick up the pace on the fast last 12 kilometers of the event. That hurt that climb, the Côte de Bluffy, and Armstrong, who started very rapidly, only losing 9 seconds to Wiggins, has now lost himself 42, and he could very well be losing the possibility of a podium. This is Christian van der Velde, Phil, in the finishing straight in Annecy.
Well, as we watch van der Velde finish a respectful 19th, Alberto Contador has gone through the hidden check you can't see with the second best time to Ignatieff, but he's still 7 seconds ahead of Bradley Wiggins. 7 seconds, so Wiggins is going quicker and Contador is slowing.
Well, that's the important thing to note, that Contador started very quickly, as too did Lance Armstrong. Wiggins now will be looking to see whether or not he can rival the time of Fabien Cancellara on the finishing line. He still doesn't look like a man who is starting to weaken. He's still looking very fluid. His pedaling action is perfect. His body is lock solid on the top of the handlebars. Very, very aerodynamic.
This is going to be a very interesting last half to this time trial. We swung back here to Andy Schleck here. Rider number 31 on course. He's heading for the check at 28.5 kilometers. Armstrong has gone through that. Frank is ahead of him and still to arrive, but I think that in fact Andy might have cut down that 3-minute start difference between brothers. They might have each other in their sights very shortly.
Well, Andy Schleck rode very well at the first time check, Phil, the 9th best time, and I think this is currently turning out to be one of his best ever time trial performances. There he is in the white jersey, the best young rider in the Tour de France this year, as he gets out of the saddle once again to keep the pace nice and high. This part of the course will suit Andy Schleck, and he may well try and reduce the deficit that he's lost of riders like Lance Armstrong and Bradley Wiggins here.
Well, Wiggins through that check at 37.20. That's the time to beat. Armstrong has gone through, conceding 42 seconds to Wiggins. We think Frank Schleck will be washed out to 1.5, maybe even 1 minute 45 at that check, but he's not there yet. Andy also does not look comfortable on this, the roughest stretch of the course. It's the climb of the Côte de Bluffy, and it really is a tough one, and I'm not sure Andy is enjoying this either. He's been riding for 34.5 minutes, and 37.20 is the time Wiggins went over the top. So I think it's safe to assume he's losing quite substantial time here to Wiggins on the climb.
Well, he has a big advantage and a big buffer over Wiggins, Phil, because he started the day 2 minutes 27 seconds ahead of Bradley Wiggins. He's just got to make sure that he doesn't panic too much on the slopes of a climb like this and keep something in reserve to be able to accelerate and pick it back up to speed over the last 12 kilometers of this race. But in fact, Wiggins is slowing down a fraction too, because at the fourth time check out on the road, Phil, he's 27 seconds slower than Fabian Cancellara, who must have had not only 2 but 3 or 4 turbos whistling over the last 12 kilometers of this event.
Well, we know that Cancellara blew everybody away on that run-in. Wiggins has gone behind Cancellara, Ignatieff and Larsson of Sweden, so he's in 4th place. He's ahead of his rivals, but behind the chance of a stage win, it seems, at the moment. Vincenzo Nibali now heading home here and wanting. He started the Tour de France in 7th place today. He's trying to do a ride to keep him there as he comes in with a very good time, 2 minutes too slower than Cancellara, but that doesn't matter. Cancellara is 1 hour 40 minutes behind.
Well, this is Frank Schleck, Phil, coming to the top of the climb, and look at the time gap here at 38.35, and he still hasn't stopped the clock. He's lost 1 minute and 16 seconds at this point to Bradley Wiggins.
Well, that is a little bit less than I thought he'd lost, to be honest. So Frank Schleck enjoyed the climb a little bit more than he did the flat. He might concede on the way down, though. Still waiting to see what Andy Schleck does at that same point. I suspect he has probably pulled back maybe half a minute on his brother on the climb.
Well, Bradley Wiggins, Phil, is now starting to threaten the position of Frank Schleck as well, because they were separated at the start of the day by 1 minute and 28 seconds. At that last time check, they were separated by 1 minute and 16, so Frank Schleck had better whip it up on the run down towards the finish. Otherwise, the Brit will overtake him as well.
And that will put him in a podium position for Paris, and that will be a fine achievement by Bradley Wiggins. But will it be enough? We'll ask questions like that over the weekend as we go to Mont Ventoux. We've got one reasonably hard stage tomorrow. Now let's go out on course. This is Wiggins heading up home. He's looking at a time of 49.03, so he's outside the time of the best 2 riders. It's been a hard return for him. He hasn't been as quick as 3 terrific time trialists, but he's just flew up that home straight. He's laying down the time now that he wants to hold off the men who are behind him. That's what's important to Bradley Wiggins, and this is the time he will establish it. He comes up here now. He's inside 50 minutes. 49.13 is the finishing time for Bradley Wiggins. Now everybody else has got to match that behind him.
Well, look at this. This is a ride by Andy Schleck. It's not going to be one of the best times, but it's a very good time for this man who is not reputedly a good time trialist. He's rivaling riders like Christophe Moreau. He's riding riders like Mikhail Ignatieff at the top of this climb, and he, I think, is doing the best time trial performance that he's done in many, many years. He'll be using the times of Fabian Cancellara, Gustav Larsson, his own teammates, as a measure to see how he can rival and keep up at the top end of the overall standings and not lose too much time against Armstrong and Wiggins.
So Schleck now, as he passes under our camera, we'll get a time check. Lance Armstrong was 42 seconds slower than Wiggins at this point, who was then best time. There's Armstrong there. Andy Schleck is coming through very close to Armstrong's time, but he will go behind as he now goes behind 47.16. So he's only 5 seconds behind Armstrong at this point. He's pulled out something special.
Well, I tell you what, Andreas Kloden has also pulled out something special as well, because he was a long way behind Bradley Wiggins at the top of the climb, but he's just gone through the final time check there, Phil, not very far behind Wiggins, in 8th place, 38 seconds down, separated by only 9 seconds. The difference between Wiggins and Kloden at the start of the day was 9 seconds, so it may well be that Kloden is pulling himself back in front of the Brit.
Well, surprisingly, and I'm very surprised, Wiggins seemed to ride better uphill than on the flat, so he's completely reversed what he always was, a greyhound time trialist on flat roads, as now they're being challenged. Here's the maillot jaune of Alberto Contador, and this is a man far from disgracing himself in the time trial. To the contrary, he's just proving to us that he is the man in the driving seat of this year's Tour de France. He comes up the hill, the last man up the hill. Wiggins was best time here, and he was getting very close to Contador out on course. Contador was quicker than him. Has he held that advantage? All of the crowd leaning forward here to catch a glimpse of the yellow jersey. The flags of Spain are flying. The time is 37.20 to beat. He's got plenty of time to do that. I think it's a long way to the line, and this is only the checkpoint, let me hasten to add, but I think he's still going to be best time up the mountain. That is going to be extremely satisfying.
Well, you can see how fast his legs are going round. He's keeping a very low gear on this climb, an exceptionally high cadence. He knows that he has to go faster than everybody else. It's a question of pride when you're the yellow jersey. You're the best man in the bike race, and in the final time trial, you also have to prove that you're the best man against the clock too.
My goodness.
30 seconds faster than Bradley Wiggins at the top of the climb.
30 seconds. Contador has gone through with the best time of the day. That's a way to ride. Down to the finish quickly. Here comes Andreas Kloden now. He's aiming at 4th place, so he is in a position, but it's time that will distinguish him between himself and Bradley Wiggins as he drops down to 8th place now. It's been a tough end for Andreas Kloden. 49.20 and counting. He's got to get it in. He's behind. He finishes 8th, 50 seconds down.
Yes, but he's going to go behind Bradley Wiggins in the overall classification by a couple of seconds. But out on the course, Phil, that is a phenomenal performance by the man in the yellow jersey. I have to say that Alberto Contador is flying around this course.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how he copes with the flatter roads because Wiggins quite clearly hasn't. Now we'll find out if Lance Armstrong has. We're looking at Andy Schleck, but it'll be next man in will be Lance Armstrong. We'll see just where he slots into that situation with the favourites. Schleck is one of the riders doing a terrific performance here today, and he's the one that wanted to do it, to stay in a podium position in Paris, matching himself against a discipline he's not that good at. Here is Lance Armstrong, who is good at time trialling. He's turning up the road now as he heads into town. He's 14th, they're saying, at the moment at this checkpoint at 1 minute 11 seconds, so he's conceding time, quite a lot of time just now to Bradley Wiggins as he heads up towards the finish. Armstrong through the barriers here. He's into the last 2 kilometres of riding now. How much is he? What's the time difference between him and Bradley Wiggins?
At the start of the day, they were separated by 58 seconds, so Armstrong has got to get himself to the finish pretty rapidly.
Well, he's got to get to some, by a quick calculation here, 58 makes him 50.11. He's got to be in by 50.11, otherwise he will be behind Bradley Wiggins in the overall standings tonight. He's been riding just 48 minutes now. He's got 1.5 kilometres and he's got 2 minutes 11 seconds to do it.
Well, it's going to be very difficult, you know, Phil, because he's probably clocking off 1 kilometre at this speed at 1 minute and 10 seconds, so it's going to be touch and go on the finishing line. Currently, Armstrong is just holding on to 3rd position, but he's got to get there within that 50.11 if he's going to be ahead of Bradley Wiggins in the overall standings.
That's the virtual overall based on the times at the previous checkpoint. It all is really what happens down at the finishing line, but for my money, Armstrong has dug really, really deep here to try and hold time. And I think Wiggins must have slowed quite dramatically over that run-in because Armstrong seemed to be falling away. There is the kite, and looking at the clock, he's got about 1 minute 20 seconds. That should be enough.
He should be able to do that theoretically at this speed. He will be riding 1:10, 1:12 for the final kilometre. He's gone through there very rapidly. He will know that. He'll have the information in his clock, and he will do everything that he can to make sure that he crosses that line inside of 50.11, and that will keep him at the end of the day in 3rd place in the overall standings, and that was his dream, Phil, just a couple of days ago.
Well, if he stays ahead of Bradley Wiggins, he'll feel he's had a great day in the Tour de France because he believes he only has to worry about the Schlecks on the Mont Ventoux mountain. He wasn't really counting Bradley as a man to beat, and he's going to get in well inside that, I think. He's 50.11 will put him behind Bradley Wiggins in the classification by a few seconds, but as he roars up here, everybody is shouting Armstrong. Of course, he's not popular in France, as we are always told in the press. Armstrong is riding up to the finishing line here. The magic figure to stay ahead of Wiggins is 50.11. I think he's going to actually beat that, but Wiggins' time won't be beaten, but Armstrong pushes on here. Big final sprint by Lance as if he knows what the clock is saying. He hits the line, 49.50. He's still holding his place in the Tour de France.
That means at the end of the day, he will climb up from 4th to 3rd in the overall standing, so the dream of a podium position for Lance Armstrong is still very much alive.
Unbelievable. This man is the a champion we've known of old. He's still there as a champion. From the day in August last year, he said he looked at the Olympic Games and said, I can still beat these guys. And now he's proving it. Back out to one man, though, he does have a problem with, and that's Alberto Contador now. Contador is turning out to be a terrific time trialist in the manner of the legendary Miguel Indurain.
Well, there are only 3 riders out on course now. Frank Schleck, Andy Schleck, and of course this man who is setting the fastest times. He was fastest at kilometer 18, went into second place at kilometer 25, and then went back into first place at kilometer 28.5. He really doesn't have to worry too much because he's got such a buffer over everybody else in the overall standings. Phil, 2.5 minutes ahead of Andy Schleck at the start of the day, 3.5 minutes ahead of Frank Schleck, almost 4 minutes ahead of his own teammate Lance Armstrong, and almost 5 minutes ahead of Bradley Wiggins. But I think for him this afternoon, this really is a question of pride.
Well, let's not forget at the moment, Fabian Cancellara, who started what seemed like last week in this time trial, is a very early starter, is still the best time at 48:33.9 in the house. But Contador has been ripping up the time checks, and he has been the best time at all of the time checks. So he could be the one man to get the better of Fabian Cancellara. There are very few people in the world have done that. I guess that's what the yellow jersey does. He hasn't done it yet, mind you.
He is the only man out on the course now, Phil, who can beat the Swiss Olympic time trialing champion Cancellara, who is in and warm and waiting and probably watching with interest to see what is going to happen here. 43 minutes with 5 kilometers to go, and he is actually going to rival that time, Phil, I would have to say, of Fabian Cancellara. It's going to be touch and go as to whether or not he crosses the line ahead of the Swiss champion.
It'll be seconds either way. He has not got to the one, another time check you can't see at 37 kilometers. Schleck has just gone through there. Frank, he is 31st on the result board at that check at 2 minutes and 9 seconds. By the time Andy and Contador get there, he'll rank 33rd of all of the riders through that point. And Andy Schleck has not arrived at that check yet, and neither, of course, has the last man on the route.
Well, Frank Schleck has had an awful day in the individual time trial, Phil. He's lost 2 minutes to his own teammate at the 3rd time check on the road there, and that's a huge chunk of time. But I think he pretty much expected that at the start of the day. Wiggins faltered a little bit over the last part of the course, but I don't think anybody really could rival the finishing speed of Fabian Cancellara. There's only one man who might rattle the cage of the Olympic time trial champion, and that's the man we're looking at here in the yellow jersey. Alberto Contador, champion of Spain in the individual time trial and champion of the Tour de France in the yellow jersey.
Well, Contador, first at the first check, fell away behind Ignatiev at the second check, came back to the top by 30 seconds at the 3rd check, is now settling in. He's not got to the 4th check before the finishing line, neither has Andy Schleck. He's about 3.5 kilometers from the finish now, Alberto Contador. He's chasing Andy Schleck on the road.
Well, it's all a question of what the clock is going to say, but I can tell you one thing. Fabian Cancellara, Phil, must have been incredibly fast over the last 12 kilometers, probably touching speeds of around about 60 kilometers now. There's not many other bike riders in this race can do that. Frank Schleck now is at 250 meters to go, and he's actually failed dismally over these last 12 kilometers. He's probably not even going to make the top 30 in this individual time trial.
Well, he was 31st at the previous check. Is he going to hang on to that? And the answer is no, he isn't. He's in fact just going to get to George Hincapie's position. He's 33rd. It'll be 35th on the day with 2 riders still to finish, conceding 2.5 minutes to Fabian Cancellara.
Well, Andy Schleck is riding a much better time trial than his brother, Phil, because he's gone through that final check there with the 18th best time, only conceding 1 minute and 26 seconds to his teammate Fabian Cancellara. So he's keeping himself right up at the top end of the leaderboard, currently holding on to a very good 2nd place overall.
Well, this marvellous crowd here in the centre of Annecy has watched an incredible time trial today. I've always said the best way to watch a time trial is on television. We have the advantage of seeing them all around the course, and we have witnessed a champion performance from the Maillot Jaune today. Alberto Contador, I think, will deliver best time now, and only the clock will confirm that, but he has been incredible today. That yellow jersey has dragged him around the lake, and it looks like he goes up for the final weekend of France, having increased his overall lead. That is still to come, as now Andy Schleck goes under 1 kilometer to go. Contador has just passed the check. He is best best time at 45.07. He is coming home with the best time of the race to my Jaune, and Andy Schleck is coming home with an above-average time for him.
A solid time for Andy Schleck, just going through the 37-kilometre time check. Contador has gone through there, Phil, 15 seconds faster than Fabian Cancellara, who ripped through the final 12 kilometres. Well, I'll tell you what, Contador is doing something very special here this afternoon. We're looking at Andy Schleck. Roughly, the race would be Andy Schleck at second place, 4:07. Armstrong in third in the overall standings at the end of the day. Hats off to Andy Schleck. He is one of the greatest climbers of the Tour de France this year, alongside Alberto Contador, and he's ridden a very solid individual time trial.
Here comes Andy up the home straight. When this tour started, he was a favourite to do well. He's confirming that now. He's still going to be in a podium position with 3 days to race in the Tour de France. 2 really, because we don't count Sunday. That's a day of honour for them all. Andy Schleck now drives on towards the line. 1 minute 41 he concedes to his teammate Fabian Cancellara, and that is a time which will keep him in second place in the Tour de France.
And that was his goal at the start of today's stage. It was also the goal of Frank Schleck, but Frank just could not rival his brother in the individual time trial. Only one man left out on course now to challenge the performance of Fabian Cancellara. 48 minutes and 33 seconds is the time to beat. Alberto Contador has been in the saddle for 47 minutes and 45 seconds. He now knows that he's staring at the possibility of winning this final individual time trial, and it's a question of pride for anybody who wears the yellow jersey to try and win the final time trial of the Tour.
Let's remember that Alberto Contador left the start house exactly 3 minutes behind Andy Schleck. He's more than cut halfway into that lead as he heads up now towards a stage win here. The yellow jersey, there's no finer way to lead the Tour de France than to do what Lance Armstrong has done so many times, and that's deliver the best time in the time trial. As he comes up the home straight, it will be close, but he's looking at 48.33.9, and that will be his, oh, he can see it, 48.30.7. He's done it by 2.5 seconds.
Well, 3 seconds to be exact is the difference between these two men at the top end of the leaderboard. He faltered a fraction, Phil, over the last few kilometres, but what a great performance by this man. You can see the pain in his face there as he comes up to the line, just beating Fabian Cancellara in the last lunge for the line. That really goes to prove that this man is the strongest man of the 2009 Tour de France. He has shown it in the mountains. He's defended it admirably here with a great win in the individual time trial.
Alberto Contador, 48.30.7. It's rounded up to 3 seconds at 48.33.9 for Fabian Cancellara. David Miller will finish this in 5th place, and Bradley Wiggins slowed dramatically there. Only 6th place in the end for Bradley Wiggins. Well, that was some time trial, wasn't it? And what a result. And let me say, what a result, too, for Lance Armstrong, because he has kept himself very much in this fight. What can you say about the man that wins the time trials and concedes nothing in the mountains and wins in the mountains when he won in Verbier as well? That's the man who will win the Tour de France now. The time trial is probably the one event he feared, but now he can look forward to Mont Ventoux on Saturday, and what's the odds in him not winning up there as well? So we'll take our usual break. We'll come back, take a deep breath, check on the highlights, the standings and the podiums. It was a great day at the Tour de France. See you in just a moment.
Car wash for under $1? Incredible! A car wash and wax for under $1? Impossible! Until now, introducing the SpongeTech car washing system, the revolutionary way to wash and wax your car to a professional finish. SpongeTech's patented soap infusion process builds the soap and wax right into every fiber of the sponge, revolutionizing the way you clean from now on. And right now, just to get you to see how revolutionary the SpongeTech cleaning system is, we'll give you enough SpongeTech cleaning sponges for up to 8 car washes and waxes, 2 detailing sponges, and this ultra-absorbent chamois. But wait, there's even more. If you call right now through this special TV offer, we'll triple your order. You'll get enough SpongeTech sponges for 24 car washes and waxes for just $14.95.
To order your SpongeTech car wash system, call 1-800-844-2198. That's 1-800-844-2198. Call now and we'll triple your order for only $14.95. That's 24 car washes and waxes. Don't delay. Call 1-800-844-2198 now.
Go climb a tree.
or discover things you've only read about. Maybe it's time to get the kids off the couch and on the water. Get the gear to get it done at Bass Pro Shops, like worldwide Sportsman Angler shirts for just $14.94. The Body Glove Method Life Vest for only $19.94. And take 33% off all remaining towables. Bass Pro Shops. Your adventure starts here.
Choosing a car is like trying on a dress. As soon as you slip into it, you know it's the one. But you still turn around to see the back, because let's face it, you want them to hate to see you go, but love to watch you leave.
Introducing the all-new Cadillac CTS Sport Wagon.
May I help you?
Yes, I hear Progressive has lots of discounts on car insurance. Can I get in on that?
Are you a safe driver?
Yes.
Discount. Do you own a home?
Yes.
Discount. Are you gonna buy online?
Yes.
Discount. Isn't getting discounts great?
Yes.
There's no discount for agreeing with me.
Yeah, I got carried away.
It happens to me all the time.
Helping you save money. Now that's Progressive. Call or click today.
This is a special announcement. The public is entitled to purchase cars and homes seized by police and bank agents. An inventory of cars and homes are available now and will be sold to the public. Call 800-630-2290. Cars available from $500. Homes available from $199 a month. Down payment assistance available for those who qualify. For listings in your area, call 800-630-2290. That's 800-630-2290. Call 800-630-2290.
Here's the thing that makes life so interesting. The theory of evolution claims only the strong shall survive. Maybe so. Maybe so. But the theory of competition says just because they're the strong doesn't mean they can't get their asses kicked. That's right. See, what every long shot come from behind underdog will tell you is this. The other guy may in fact be the favorite. The odds may be stacked against you, fair enough. But what the odds don't know is this isn't a math test. This is a completely different kind of test. One where passion has a funny way of trumping logic. So before you step up to the starting line, before the whistle blows and the clock starts ticking, just remember out here, the results don't always add up. No matter what the stats may say, and the experts may think, and the commentators may have predicted, when the race is on, all bets are off. Don't be surprised if somebody decides to flip the script and take a pass on yelling uncle. And then suddenly, as the old saying goes, we got ourselves a game.
Welcome back. The time trial. What a race it was. Over 40.5 kilometers, based here in Annecy, which is the Venice of the Alps. There, the canals come out of Lake Annecy. We have been right around this lake, and what a race it was. So let's just have a look back on an interesting day in the Tour de France for everybody as we watch our Cadillac performance highlights. It all began with Fabian Cancellara, an hour 40 behind overall at the start today. He was the winner in Monaco, remember, and held the jersey for nearly a week. He made his start early on, and he set the temperature all the way around. He wasn't the fastest at the first 3 checks. That was Michael Ignatieff who was. Then he took control at the 4th check. Then he delivered the best time to beat of 48 minutes and 48 minutes and 33.9. That was the time that everybody now had to shoot at. Davy Miller did well for Garmin Slipstream, trying to put a lot of power on the course so he could go and tell Bradley Wiggins just how hard it was in places. And Miller was riding above himself today. It was a good ride today for Davy Miller. As he came up towards the finish, he was in 3rd place when he stopped the clock. His final time, 49:11.38. The weather was getting a little bit changeable now. From a hot start to the day, the clouds were rolling in too, and the crowds were getting a little bit wet. Gustav Erik Larsen, who made his name in the Olympic Games in Beijing, where he got himself a silver medal, was on fire as well. He was right up amongst the leaders at the first check, and he continued to improve. By the time he got over the top of the Côte Bouffay, he was right up amongst the leaders. In fact, in 2nd place. When he came down to the finish, not quite so good, but he did move out David Miller, and he slotted in there for the moment, with Gustav Larsen taking 3rd place at that time. Bradley Wiggins, a lot of pressure on Bradley today. He needed to deliver a time which nobody else could match, so he could go now to the big mountain, the Mont Ventoux, with a little bit of an advantage, and it looked to be working for him. He wasn't. He went through the first check in the best time as he raced along the lake here, and nobody was expecting anybody, but he slowed down once he came away from the hills, and disappointingly, he slowed down rather dramatically. And Wiggins came in with a time of only 49:13, which was slower than David Miller and Gustav Larsen, and indeed Ignatieff. Anders Kloden had a similar story to tell today. There was a lot of rumour around the start line that Kloden would deliver the time that would take away first prize today and lift himself back into the top 3 overall standings. Remember, he lost his high finish when he couldn't hold his teammate's wheel yesterday on the Col de Colombière. But it wasn't so good for Anders Kloden, just 49:24. Eventually, 54 seconds will be lost to Alberto Contador. Lance Armstrong rose to the occasion as far as I am concerned, advised here by Johan Brunel, his manager, and his friend. A very thorough warm-up for Lance Armstrong as he waited now for the start. He'd chosen a yellow bike as well, although on this occasion he wasn't wearing a yellow jersey, but just about everything else was yellow. He got the biggest cheer of the day as he rolled out of the start house, and he quickly got into his rhythm. All he wanted to do was get time on Andy and Frank Schleck. He wasn't expecting to get time on Bradley Wiggins, but he feels he can deal with Wiggins when we get to Mont Ventoux. Well, that's to be decided later. But he soon got into his slipstream here, and he was riding very well. When he went through the check, he was going through with a 3rd best time, 27 seconds away from, a little bit less than that from Bradley Wiggins. He eventually went through 27 seconds down on Alberto Contador. When he got down to the finish, he was right up there. No, he wasn't as fast as Bradley Wiggins, but he really had contained him and had kept ahead of him on the overall classification, and that was most important. Frank Schleck, well, we did say at the start of our program, they're not great time trial riders, Frank and Andy Schleck, and Frank's made a very defined start to the day as he pushed on here, conceding not a lot of time at the first check, but like a lot of the riders, they really took it hard on this 3rd category climb. So when Frank came down to the finish, he was really off the leaderboard there. His time was not a good time, and he has lost a little bit of ground today. His final time, 51:04. So that left just 2 riders to come home today. Andy Schleck sitting in 2nd place overall in the Tour de France, and knowing now a reasonable time trial, and he goes back to his playground, which is Mont Ventoux, and he did a great time trial by his own standards. He would get down to the finish in the end in 21st place, which is a terrific finish for him. He was only worried about the whereabouts of Contador and Lance Armstrong. He probably knew that Kloden was fading, and so too was his brother Frank. As he ran into the last couple of kilometres, he was really fighting for a good time. He was heading for a time 50-15 on the line, at 21st place on the day, and holding second place overall in the Tour de France. Andy Schleck, job done. Alberto Contador, what can you say about this man? If we thought he might concede a little bit of his overall advantage in the Tour de France, well, forget it. This man's here to win the race and win it in the tradition of the great riders. Win the time trial as well. This was not a mountain time trial. It was not his forte. And yes, he is the time trial champion of Spain. But the competition there, we have to say, wasn't that good. But here, it was the best competition in the time trial in the world. And he goes to the first check in the best time. He slips at the second check by 3 seconds to second best time. Back at the top of the next 2 checks, and he hurtles himself up the home straight with the best time by just 3 seconds inside the time of Fabian Cancellara. And you can't beat a better time trial rider than Fabian Cancellara. Alberto Contador tonight has gained time over everybody in the Tour de France. Tremendous performance, and that is our Cadillac Performance highlights. Let's begin with the stage results. Contador, 48.30, 3 seconds better than Saxo Bank's specialist. Ignatieff, another big surprise for Katusha, 15 seconds. Larson at 33, Miller at 41. All those behind Contador were not the big favourites and challengers. Wiggins was best of those in a disappointing 6th at 43 seconds. Sanchez third at 44. Andries Kloden slips to 90, loses 54 seconds. Zabriskie did a solid ride there, but it doesn't really matter at the moment, a minute 02 down. Cadel Evans, he did a proud ride, 12th at the minute 14th. Vladimir Karpich topping the 15 there in a minute 28 lost. Lance Armstrong loses a minute 30 to his teammate Alberto Contador, but to the others he rode extremely impressively, so he's happy with his day. Top 20 completed there by Kim Kirken, who lost a minute 42. There's Andy Schleck, he finishes 21st, a minute 45 down, but enough to hold second. Christian van der Velde will keep his high position overall too, conceding 2 minutes though to Contador, and Joost Postuma completing the top 5. Well, it'll make interesting reading when we compile that to the overall standings in the Tour de France, because we expect to see Schleck holding second place, and we expect and hope to see Armstrong in third place. But of course, those are my calculations. We'll just wait till we get it official before we show it, and that'll be in our next segment, the standings and the podiums, up next here in Annecy.
Something big happening at Pizza Hut.
Whoa, nice. That's a lot of food.
Now get big meals like our stuffed pizza rolls, Pizza Mia, the Pizzone, and our personal Panormus pizza starting at just $5. The Big Eat Tiny Price menu, only at Pizza Hut.
I really was looking for something that would be real, and that's why I chose eHarmony, because it's much deeper.
Only eHarmony finds you deep, meaningful matches based on 29 proven dimensions of compatibility.
I never would have met Tara without eHarmony. She's incredibly intelligent. She has a smile that lights up the room. I don't know how I could love her any more than I do right now, but tomorrow I'm gonna love her more.
Get started at eHarmony.com today and review all your matches for free.
Performance Now is all about knowledge. Knowing you're driving the #1 selling car in its class. Knowing you're driving what Car and Driver named a 10 best for an unmatched 18th year in a row. And knowing that right now, BMW is offering exceptional programs to help you do so. Performance Now is the 3 Series. Lease a BMW 328i for $349 a month until August 31st.
Right now at Lowe's, get 10% off Energy Star products throughout the store. And you can even ask for an additional 10% off all your purchases or special financing for 12 months when you use your Lowe's consumer credit card. Lowe's, let's build something together.
At the World Championships, it's not about wrapping yourself in newfound glory. It's about wrapping yourself in old glory.
Hi, may I help you?
Yeah, I'm looking for car insurance that isn't going to break the bank.
You're in the right place. Only Progressive gives you the option to name your price. Here.
A price gun?
Mm-hmm.
So I tell you what I want to pay.
And we build you a policy to fit your budget.
That's cool. Feel so empowered.
Power to the people. The option to name your price. New and only from Progressive. Call or click.
Crank it up. The ultimate NASCAR pre-race party is only on Speed. NASCAR Race Day. Be there. You'll be in the middle of the action action. Live with John Roberts, Jimmy Spencer, Kenny Wallace, and thousands of NASCAR's biggest fans. And get the inside track with live reports from Wendy Venturini.
Let's get to the stories at hand.
Don't miss NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot, all season long. NASCAR on speed. Be there.
The 2009 Tour de France on Versus is brought to you by Cervelo, Enjoy Engineering, and by Warner Brothers Pictures' Orphan, There's Something Wrong with Esther, in theaters everywhere June 24th.
We're back in Annecy. The rain has stayed away. Just a little shower midway through the time trial today. It's been an incredible battle around the lake here in Annecy, and it's produced some great results. Alberto Contador has won the stage today, and he's done it wearing a yellow jersey. Just look at the face of this man. He was losing time on the run-in. Paul Sherwen worked out all the way to Cancellara, but he got inside 3 seconds, and that's good enough to give him the stage win.
Well, that was the important thing as far as anybody was concerned for Alberto Contador. He was 46 seconds faster than Fabian Cancellara at the top of the climb and faded to just 3 seconds at the finish line. But 3 seconds is all it takes sometimes.
Absolutely. He gets the win now to match the one at Verbier, a time trial and mountain win. I've always said if you've got those two abilities, then you win the Tour de France. And Contador is feeling very satisfied today. Massive crowd.
Well, as Lance Armstrong always said, Phil, if you want to be the champion of the Tour de France, you have to win the final time trial. And he's certainly proved that. It's not a normal final time trial because we're a few days to go towards the end, but we're certainly setting ourselves up for a big battle on Saturday on the slopes of the Mont Ventoux.
That's how it finished. Contador 3 seconds better than the great time trialist Cancellara. Ignatieff, who shocked everybody there, just lost 15 seconds in the end to take third. The silver medalist in the Beijing Olympics, fourth, Larson, and fifth, David Miller, produced an excellent ride, and surprisingly that beat his own teammate by 2 seconds, Bradley Wiggins, who looked to be going well over the first half. Top 10 completed by Dave Zabriskie, who also produced a great ride. Back to the podium, back to the same man, and he's wearing yellow tomorrow.
But more importantly, Phil, I think what he's done is he's opened up the advantage over everybody else in this bike race, and that was what he wanted to do today. He's got an extremely comfortable buffer now over Andy Schleck and Lance Armstrong, his own teammate. Armstrong is going to have a big battle on Saturday to keep himself on the podium because Frank Schleck is not too far behind, and I'm sure that the two Schleck brothers will come out and do some serious battle on the Giant of Provence.
This race would go down to the last weekend, and it seems to have done just that with the climb of Mont Ventoux to come. This man holds no fears, though, of Mont Ventoux. He might be the only rider in the race who doesn't, but he'll love to be there, and he's so confident now.
No, he certainly is. And
there's the pistol shot.
He's got the team to defend it as well, Phil, and really that is an exceptional stretching out of the overall lead for Alberto Contador.
Let's have a look at the Hampton Hotel's overall standings. There it is. Andy Schleck holds second place. Okay, he's 4:11 back. He stays second. He's 1 minute 14 seconds ahead of Lance Armstrong. It's still possible. Bradley Wiggins is in fourth place, just missing the podium by 11 seconds today. Andreas Kloden is in fifth place at 5:38. Frank Schleck has dropped down to just on 6 minutes behind the leader. Nibali holds 7th. Christian van der Velde holds 8th. Astalosa holds 9th. And Lemebel has changed places with Astalosa, 9th to 10th, 10th to 9th. Here comes the champion of Luxembourg, Andy Schleck, to take the white jersey, Paul, but now he feels he's got second in the Tour de France.
Yeah, he's done a solid ride there this afternoon. Probably, I would say, Phil, the best time trial performance of his career to do what he did. He lost around about 1.5 minutes to Alberto Contador, but he gained time over Vincenzo Nibali, and that's an important thing for him going into the final weekend of racing.
Well, there's still 3 days of racing to go, but like Contador, he'll look forward to the climb of Mont Ventoux, as the crowd have appreciated a tremendous time trial today and a real fight by some champions today. Well, as we look out across the area here of the Haute Savoie, we're waiting now, I think, for the green jersey to come out and be presented. That'll be for Tor Ushoff because he did his big ride yesterday. He now has a good lead in this race, 30 points. It's not the end of the line, but it's a good lead over Mark Cavendish.
Well, he has to feel fairly comfortable. There are 35 points for a win on the flat stages, and unfortunately tomorrow there's a big climb before the finish, which I think will not be great for the sprinters.
Interesting day to discover who will win tomorrow. Ushoff 230, Cavendish 200. They're the only two in the race. Of course, Rockhass has stayed third for a long time, as has Farah staying in fifth. Here's the map for tomorrow, Paul. A little bit easier as we roll away from the Alps.
Slightly easier as the riders start to move now in a westerly direction. They will move away from the starting town of Bourgogne-Jalot, and it's a fairly flat course, undulating in the first part, but then it's flat. But that nasty little second category climb down towards the end that you can see there, I think, may just foil the sprinters on a day like this.
There's the hill at the end, and don't forget it's 111 miles tomorrow. We start with our live coverage at our regular time of 8:30 a.m. that's Eastern time. Our expanded coverage every evening at 8 p.m. Eastern time. And let me tell you too, we have got a lot of interviews of today's stage, but time has beaten us, so watch out for all of those interviews with the riders this evening in the Craig Hummer and Bob Roll primetime show at 8 Eastern. It's been a great day for the time trialists. Bradley Wiggins tried and failed, and Andy Schleck tried and succeeded for a podium place. Lance Armstrong, is he heading to Paris in third? That would be a huge result for that man. Andy Schleck could be heading in second, but it's not over yet. Don't forget either, go to versus.com and we'll keep you up to date with the Tour de France. 2 million hits a day on our website at versus.com, so thank you for that. It's been a terrific day. The time trial, the race of truth. You can't hide, can you? Don't forget, 8 o'clock tonight, Eastern time, for all the interviews. Goodbye.